Imagine looking in the mirror and realizing the only thing standing between you and the life you want is you. Not your boss, not your parents, not your past, just your own excuses. Harsh? Maybe. True? Absolutely. But let me ask you this. How many times have you said, "I'll start tomorrow"? How many times have you blamed the situation, the timing, or someone else for why you didn't follow through? You say you want to be disciplined, focused, and strong, but then you hit snooze, scroll your phone, and waste hours you'll never get back. The truth is brutal. No one cares about your excuses. The world will not pause because you're tired or unmotivated. You either get it done or you don't. You either build discipline or you stay stuck. Today, that changes. You're going to learn 12 powerful Stoic habits that will help you stop making excuses and start living with purpose. These aren't just motivational quotes. They are daily actions that will sharpen your mind, strengthen your will, and give you back your power. But before we begin, I want you to do something bold. Write this in the comments. No more excuses. I am building discipline. I am Stoic. This isn't just a sentence, it's a declaration, a line in the sand, the beginning of a new mindset. So write it down, say it out loud, feel it in your chest. Now let's begin, because no one's coming to save you. It's on you now. Number 1, develop silent accountability. Stop talking, start doing. That's the mindset of a disciplined person. How many times have you told someone your plans just to feel a little better about yourself? I'm going to start working out. I'm going to write that book. I'm going to quit this habit. And how many times did nothing actually change? You don't need to raise your hand every time you decide to improve. You don't need to post about it. You don't need likes, claps, or comments. Because here's the truth. Every time you speak about your goal just to get validation, you're feeding your ego instead of your soul. You're chasing attention when you should be chasing progress. Silent accountability is the opposite. It's private. It's powerful. It's built not on words, but on actions. You keep your plans to yourself. You set the goal, and then you track the progress. Not for the world to see, but for your own mind. You don't shout what you're going to do. You whisper it to yourself. And then you get to work. Epictetus once said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." That's the essence of silent accountability. Live your values. Prove them. Not through your words, but through your consistent effort. The world is loud. People are always announcing things, making promises, starting things they never finish. You want to be different? Then be quiet. Let your work speak louder than your voice ever could. Ask yourself this: why do I feel the need to tell people my goals? Is it because I want support, or because I want praise? Is it because I need help, or because I want to be seen? Be honest. If your answer is more about being noticed than being disciplined, then you're on the wrong path. Discipline is built when no one is clapping, when no one is watching, when it's just you, your plan, and your willingness to follow through. Here's how to build silent accountability in your life. First, write down your goals, not on a post, not on a tweet. Write them in a notebook, a journal, somewhere private. This is your agreement with yourself, not with the world. Second, break the goal into daily actions. Don't think in months, think in today. What can I do today to move one step closer? That's what matters. Third, track it, measure it, reflect on it. Each night, ask, did I follow through today? No excuses, no distractions, just the truth. If the answer is no, good. You just found where you need to improve. Learn from it. Get better. If the answer is yes, great. But don't stop to celebrate. Get ready to do it again tomorrow. And most importantly, keep it to yourself. Let your results do the talking. Let the people around you notice the change without you saying a word. That's real power. That's real discipline. Think about a mountain. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't move. It just stands tall, day after day, unmoved by praise or criticism. That's what you want your discipline to be like. Steady, quiet, unshakable. And remember this, talking about your goals creates pressure. You start to perform. You start doing things to be seen instead of doing them to grow. And that's the danger. Because what happens when no one's watching anymore? What happens when the likes stop? You stop too. Because the fire wasn't real. It was borrowed. It was fueled by attention, not by character. But when your drive is internal, when it's just between you and your purpose, then nothing can stop you. No praise can distract you. No criticism can break you. Because you don't need anything from anyone. You are accountable to yourself. That's what silent accountability gives you. You don't become strong by announcing it. You become strong by acting like it. You don't need permission to change. You need consistency. You need humility. You need to be the kind of person who doesn't need to say, "I'm disciplined," because everyone around you can already see it. So from today on, stop sharing every plan. Stop broadcasting your intentions. Let people wonder. Let your results surprise them. Let your actions do all the speaking. Build in silence. Track in silence. Succeed in silence. And remember this, your results will say everything your words never could. Be the person who doesn't need to be seen because they are too busy doing the work. That is silent accountability. That is Stoic discipline. And that is how you take your power back. Number 2, reject emotional justification. Stop waiting to feel like it. Stop using your emotions as permission to act. Discipline does not ask how you feel, it only asks what needs to be done. Think about how many times you've told yourself, "I'm too tired. I don't feel motivated today. I'll do it tomorrow when I'm in a better mood." Sound familiar? That's emotional justification. It's when you take a feeling and turn it into a reason to break your commitment. And it kills discipline faster than anything else. Here's the truth you need to hear. You will not always feel like it. You will not always feel motivated. You will not always feel strong. But that doesn't matter, because your feelings are not your master. Your obligations are. Marcus Aurelius, one of the wisest Stoics to ever live, wrote, "Is a man less brave because his limbs are trembling? Does the house builder stop building because he doesn't feel like it? Of course not. Why? Because they do what needs to be done, not what they feel like doing. If you want to build discipline, you have to learn to act despite your emotions, not because of them. You must separate how you feel from what you do. Let's say you don't feel like working out today. Your mind says, "I'm tired. I'm not in the mood." Okay, so what? You still go. Why? Because you said you would. That's the shift. That's where discipline is born, not in the easy moments, but in the hard ones, when every part of you wants to stop, and you go anyway. Emotions are temporary. They rise and fall like waves. But your values, your goals, your commitments, those are permanent. If you let emotions control you, you'll be tossed around like a ship in a storm, never reaching the shore. But if you let principle guide you, you'll move forward no matter how hard the wind blows. Every time you act based on how you feel, you reinforce a habit. the habit of letting emotion rule your life. But every time you act based on what must be done, regardless of how you feel, you build a different habit, the habit of inner strength. This is what Stoicism teaches, that your emotions are real, but they are not reliable, that you don't ignore your feelings, but you don't obey them either. You don't need to feel ready to do what's right. You don't need to feel confident to start. You don't need to feel motivated to show up. You need to commit and then act. Here's a powerful exercise. Every time your mind says, "I don't feel like it," respond with this: so what? So what if I'm tired? So what if I'm anxious? So what if I'm not in the mood? Did I say I would do it? Then I will. This short phrase, "so what?" is not about being careless. It's about being in control. It's about reminding yourself that emotions are not the driver. You are. Look at any great athlete, artist, leader, or philosopher. Do you think they always felt like doing the work? Of course not. But they did it anyway. They knew what mattered. They knew that showing up mattered more than feeling ready. You have to start thinking the same way. Discipline is not a feeling. It's not an emotion. It's a decision. And you must make that decision again and again, especially on the days when your feelings try to pull you off course. Now ask yourself, how many times have I used feelings as an excuse? How many goals have I delayed because I was waiting for the right mood? That ends now. From this point forward, you act because it's necessary, not because it feels good, not because you're excited, not because someone else is watching. You act because it is who you are. When you feel lazy, act anyway. When you feel afraid, act anyway. When you feel doubt, act anyway. That's what Stoics do. That's what warriors do. That's what disciplined people do. So the next time your feelings try to lead you away from your path, remind yourself, I am not here to be ruled by emotion. I am here to master it. Do not negotiate with weakness. Do not seek comfort in excuses, and do not let a passing feeling destroy a future of strength. Reject emotional justification. Choose action. Choose discipline. Choose to lead yourself even when it's hard. That's how you become unshakable. That's how you become stoic. Number 3. Practice no exit thinking. Leave no door open for quitting. No escape plan. No backup excuse. You are either all in or you are out. There is no middle ground. Most people fail because they keep one foot in and one foot out. They say they're committed, but in the back of their mind, they're already looking for a way out, a reason to stop, a reason to quit if it gets too hard. That mindset will destroy you. That's why you must practice what we call no exit thinking. It means you decide up front that quitting is not an option. You don't leave the back door open. You don't say, let's try this for a while and see how it goes. You say, this is the path, I'm on it, period. When ancient warriors went to battle, some would burn their boats upon arrival. Why? So they couldn't retreat. They had no way to run. The only direction left was forward, victory or death. That's no exit thinking. You need to burn your mental boats too. Let's say you want to wake up at 5 a.m. every day. No exit thinking means you don't allow yourself the what-if thoughts. What if I don't sleep well? What if I just need one more hour? What if I miss a day? Stop. No. Those thoughts are exits. They are escape hatches for your discipline, and the more you entertain them, the weaker your resolve becomes. You must tell your mind, there is no other option. I do this or I do nothing. This doesn't mean you never make adjustments. It means you don't negotiate your standard. You don't give yourself a way out when things get uncomfortable. and they will get uncomfortable. That's the point. Pressure is where the weak break and the strong are formed. Let's take another example. Building a business. If your mindset is, well, if it gets too stressful, I can always just go back to my old job, then you are not committed. You are pretending. You are giving yourself an exit, and your mind will run toward it the moment difficulty shows up. Instead, tell yourself, this is what I'm doing. I will find a way, no matter how long it takes, no matter how hard it gets. This is not about recklessness. It's about resolve. It's about cutting off indecision at the root and replacing it with unwavering focus. You train your brain to stop looking for comfort and start looking for execution. When your brain knows there's no other choice, it stops wasting energy on excuses and starts finding solutions. This is how elite performers think. This is how the Stoics thought. Marcus Aurelius didn't sit on the throne and wonder if he should be emperor today or take the day off tomorrow. He didn't leave himself a mental exit when Rome was under pressure. He did his duty because there was no other option. No exit thinking is the mindset of someone who understands that discipline isn't something you turn on and off. It's a state of being. You either live by your principles or you don't. You either show up when it's hard or you fold when it's easy to do so. There's no middle ground. Try this. The next time you set a goal, before you even begin, write down your non-negotiables. Write, I will not quit. I will not seek comfort. I will not waste time imagining ways to escape. I will do what needs to be done, no matter what. Put that on your wall, in your journal, on your phone. Read it every morning. Remind yourself, this is not a try. This is not a test. This is my standard. And then, when the resistance comes, and it will, you'll already be prepared. You won't waste time asking yourself, should I keep going? You'll already know the answer. There is no exit. There is no retreat. There is only forward. This is what makes a person powerful. When you remove the luxury of quitting, you become unstoppable. Your brain adapts. Your spirit strengthens. You stop looking for permission and start creating results. From now on, don't let quitting live rent-free in your mind. Don't leave the door cracked. Don't see how it goes. Decide. Commit. Execute. And if fear whispers in your ear, but what if you fail? You answer, I'll figure it out, but I'm not turning back. No exit, no surrender, no excuses. That's how you build discipline. That's how you train your mind. That's how you become stoic. Number 4, embrace the boring reps. You want results? You want to be strong, focused, successful? Then learn to fall in love with the boring work, the quiet repetition, the tasks that don't impress anyone but build everything. That's where discipline is born. Not in the big moments, not in the highlights, not in the motivation videos or when people are watching. Discipline is built in silence, in the dull, ordinary reps that no one else wants to do. Let me ask you something. Can you show up when it's no longer exciting? Can you stay consistent when the results are slow and the work is repetitive? Can you keep doing the same thing every day, not because it feels good, but because it's necessary? That's the real test, and most people fail it. They chase novelty. They want the rush, the spark, the feeling of progress. But the truth is, progress is rarely felt in the moment. It's built over time, in the shadows, during the days when nothing exciting happens. Think of a blacksmith. He doesn't make a perfect sword with one strike. He hits the same piece of metal over and over again, the same motion, the same rhythm, hundreds of times. That's boring, but it's also what creates strength, precision, and mastery. Now look at your life. What are the boring reps you've been avoiding? Is it the early morning run that feels the same every day? The journaling routine that no longer feels inspiring? The healthy meals that are less exciting than the junk food calling your name? The studying, the planning, the meditating, the saving, the reading? Yes, it's boring. That's the point. That's why it works. Because most people can't do it. They try it for a while, then they stop. They say it doesn't feel fun anymore. But success doesn't care how you feel. Growth doesn't wait for your emotions to catch up. It rewards the one who keeps going when no one else does. Repetition is the path to excellence, and it's boring for a reason, because that's how the mind gets trained. That's how skill gets sharpened. That's how discipline is wired into your nervous system. The Stoics understood this. Epictetus didn't teach grand one-time acts of virtue. He taught small, repeated habits, again and again, until they became second nature. That's how a Stoic lives, not by acting once with greatness, but by showing up every single day with intention. You must think the same way. Stop looking for excitement. Stop needing your habits to entertain you. Your habits are not there to amuse you. They are there to transform you. Every time you do a boring rep, you are telling your mind, I'm not here for dopamine. I'm here for discipline. You are saying, this is who I am now. I do the work, even when it's dull, even when it's invisible, even when it's thankless. And if you can do that, if you can show up with the same focus and effort when no one is clapping, then you've already won. Because that's what separates the few from the many. The many quit when it gets routine. The few get stronger. The few become unstoppable. So from today forward, I want you to look at your routines differently. I want you to take pride in the boring reps, the quiet workouts, the daily reading, the slow progress, the unchanged routines. Because every time you repeat them, you are building something deep inside you, something no one can take away. Think of the boring reps as bricks. Each one may look small on its own, but over time they build a fortress of strength, a foundation of discipline, a mindset that doesn't crack under pressure. And one day, people will look at your life and ask, how did you get so focused? How did you become so consistent? And your answer will be simple. I did the boring work, every day, without fail. So don't resist the repetition. Don't escape the monotony. Embrace it. That's where the edge is. That's where most people fall off. But not you. You're not here to be entertained. You're here to be excellent. So show up. Again, and again, and again. Not because it's fun, not because it's fast, but because boring is where greatness is built. Embrace the dull. Welcome the grind. Love the repetition. That's how you build something that lasts. That's how you become someone unbreakable. That's how you live like a Stoic. Number 5. Use time anchors instead of motivation. Stop relying on motivation. It's not dependable. One day it's high, the next day it's gone. And if your discipline is built on how you feel, it will collapse the moment life gets hard. You already know this. You've felt it. The rush to start something new, followed by the slow fade into old habits, all because you were waiting to feel ready again. But here's the truth. You don't need motivation. You need a system. That system begins with something simple and powerful. Time anchors. This is how you take back control of your habits and your routine, without needing inspiration or energy. Time anchors are fixed parts of your day that already happen no matter what. They are the moments in your routine that you don't skip, You wake up, you brush your teeth, you drink your morning coffee, you take a shower, you eat dinner, you charge your phone before bed. These are not optional. They are part of your rhythm, your daily structure. Now imagine if you used those moments as anchors to lock in new, meaningful habits. You don't try to fit it in. You don't wait for motivation to hit. You simply connect one action to another, like links in a chain. Let's say every morning you brush your teeth. Right after that, you pick up your journal and write 3 things you want to focus on. No decision to be made, no battle with your emotions. Just a clean, direct connection. Teeth brushing leads to journaling. It becomes automatic. It becomes normal. It becomes who you are. That's the power of time anchoring. It removes the mental negotiation. It kills procrastination at the root. You don't need to ask yourself, do I feel like it today? Because that question doesn't even exist anymore. The habit is tied to something you were going to do anyway. This is how real discipline is built, not through bursts of motivation, but through deliberate design. The Stoics understood this long before modern science ever put it into words. Marcus Aurelius didn't write his reflections only when he felt inspired. He made it part of his morning process. He reflected daily, before the noise of the empire reached his door. It was anchored to the start of his day, and because of that, it was consistent. And because it was consistent, it changed him. You must think the same way. Look at your own life, your own patterns, your own schedule. Every day there are moments that repeat, moments that are stable. These are your anchors. This is where your discipline can be planted. Let's say you always drink coffee at the same time in the morning. You don't have to think about it. It's just part of your flow. That's your opportunity. Right after that coffee, you sit in silence for 5 minutes, or you do 5 push-ups, or you read 1 page of something that makes you wiser. Small action, big ripple, and you do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. At first it feels forced, then it feels normal, then one day it feels wrong not to do it. That's the shift. That's what makes it automatic. You've removed emotion from the equation. You've removed choice. Now it just happens, because it's tied to something that always happens. This is how elite people build their routines. This is how soldiers train. This is how athletes sharpen their edge. They don't rely on hype or energy. They build habits into the very fabric of their day. So ask yourself, where in my day can I lock in a new habit? Not when I feel like it, not when it's convenient, but right after something I already do without thinking. That's the key. That's the formula. That's what separates amateurs from professionals. You don't need to hope for consistency. You create it through structure, through repetition, through design. And it starts by using what's already there. You already have a routine. The only question is, will you use it to build discipline, or will you let it stay passive and reactive? Discipline is not about intensity, it's about reliability. And if you anchor your habits to your daily life, they will become reliable. They will become part of you. From this moment forward, stop waiting to feel like doing the work. Start building a life where the work happens no matter how you feel. Use time as your tool. Use routine as your framework. That's how you remove resistance. That's how you create consistency. That's how you stop chasing motivation and start living with purpose. That's how you become disciplined. That's how you become stoic. Number 6. Set micro deadlines with teeth. Deadlines are only powerful when they mean something. Otherwise, they're just dates on a calendar. Empty promises, easy to push back, easy to ignore. easy to break. Think about how many times you've told yourself, "I'll finish it by Friday," or "I'll get it done next week." And then what happened? Friday came, next week passed, nothing changed. Why? Because there was no pressure, no urgency, no consequence for failure. That's the problem with self-imposed deadlines. They sound strong in your mind, but they're weak in reality. You know you set them, and you also know you can break them without anyone noticing, so the mind doesn't take them seriously. But what if there were real consequences? What if failure actually cost you something? This is where the idea of micro-deadlines with teeth comes in. You don't just set a date, you attach a consequence. You put skin in the game. You raise the stakes so that your brain understands, this matters. There's something on the line here. The Stoics taught us to take our commitments seriously, that our word, even to ourselves, should carry weight, that if we say we will do something, it must be done, not because we feel like it, but because we said it. But if your inner voice has learned that your deadlines don't matter, then it will treat your goals as suggestions instead of commands. The only way to change that is to give your deadlines teeth, make them bite. So what does that look like? It means if you say you'll complete something by 8 p.m. tonight and you don't, you lose something. Maybe you donate money to a cause you don't support. Maybe you cancel your favorite show that night. Maybe you go without your usual comfort, like social media, fast food, or your weekend outing. That sting, that small consequence, that's what sharpens the edge of your discipline. It gives your deadline meaning, it creates urgency, and it forces your brain to treat the task seriously, not as a maybe, but as a non-negotiable. Now, here's the other part. The deadline must be micro, not "I'll do it this month," not "I'll finish by the end of the quarter." Too far, too abstract, no pressure. You need short, clear, tight timelines. Something that matters today, something that has to be done this week, something that your brain can see and feel immediately. The mind responds to urgency, and urgency comes when the window is small and the stakes are high. Micro-deadlines with teeth create that environment. Imagine waking up and saying, "I will write 500 words before 10 a.m., or I'll transfer $20 to someone who wants me to succeed, but will also hold me accountable if I don't." Suddenly, it's not a soft goal. It's a real one, with real pressure. And that's what builds real discipline. The kind that doesn't wait until the last minute. The kind that doesn't make excuses. The kind that learns to act now, not later. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that time is limited, that life can end at any moment, that procrastination is a silent thief of purpose. He didn't wait for deadlines. He acted with urgency because he knew that delay was dangerous. You must adopt the same mindset. You must stop giving yourself soft commitments and start using firm, short, high-stakes ones. Make it matter. Make it real. Make it cost something. And if you miss the deadline, don't explain. Don't negotiate. Pay the cost. Feel the sting. And next time, you'll take it more seriously. That's how you rewire your mind to act with discipline. Over time, your brain will start to link deadlines with real follow-through. It will learn that when you say something, you mean it. That your word is a command, not a maybe. This builds trust with yourself, confidence, power, because now you're no longer just setting goals. You're meeting them day after day because there's no way around it. That's the energy of a disciplined person. That's the strength of someone who's decided that excuses are no longer welcome in their life. So from now on, stop setting soft deadlines. Stop making promises to yourself that cost nothing. Instead, set micro deadlines with teeth. Let them bite. Let them pressure you. Let them drive you forward. This is how you get things done. This is how you become reliable. This is how you become stoic. Number 7. Adopt an identity over outcome mindset. Stop chasing goals that are disconnected from who you are. Stop saying, I want to be fit, or I want to wake up earlier, or I want to be more focused, and then wondering why the motivation fades after a few days. The truth is simple. If your actions are only driven by external outcomes, they won't last. But if your actions are tied to your identity, to who you believe you are, then they become natural, automatic, sustainable. There's a massive difference between trying to change your behavior and becoming someone new. The person who says, I want to work out so I can lose weight, is outcome-focused. The person who says, I work out because I am a disciplined person, is identity-driven. Do you see the difference? One is reaching for something they don't yet believe they are. The other is acting out of who they've already decided to become. Discipline becomes easier. Not when the task becomes easier, but when you stop seeing it as separate from who you are. You're not forcing yourself to act. You're simply expressing the identity you've already claimed. This is what the Stoics understood better than anyone. Marcus Aurelius didn't say, I want to be a wise man. He reminded himself, I am the ruler of an empire. I must think with reason. I must act with virtue. His discipline wasn't tied to a goal. It was rooted in his identity. He was the kind of man who chose principle over comfort. That's what kept him on the path. Now ask yourself, what kind of person are you becoming? What story are you telling yourself about who you are? Because whether you realize it or not, your daily actions are shaped by that story. If you believe, I'm lazy, you'll act like it. If you believe, I can't focus, your brain will search for ways to prove that true. But if you shift your identity, even slightly, your habits begin to shift too. Try this. Instead of saying, I'm trying to build discipline, say, I am a disciplined person. Say it even if you don't fully believe it yet. Say it until your brain begins to accept it. Then act in alignment with it. Every time you do the right thing, wake up on time, say no to a distraction, follow through on a plan, you're casting a vote for that identity. You're proving to yourself that it's real. This is not about perfection. It's about consistency. Every vote counts. Every action adds weight. And over time, the identity becomes unshakable. You're no longer trying to be someone. You are someone. So the goal is not just to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner. The goal is not just to meditate once a week. The goal is to become someone who values stillness. The goal is not just to read more. The goal is to be someone who learns every day. When your identity leads, discipline follows. And this shift doesn't just change how you act, it changes how you see difficulty. A person chasing an outcome says, this is hard. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. A person living their identity says, this is hard, but I keep going because this is what I do. One gets discouraged and stops. The other keeps moving forward, even when it's boring, painful, or uncertain. Because when it's who you are, you don't need motivation. You don't need to constantly hype yourself up. You don't need to ask, should I do it today? You already know the answer. You do it because it's part of you. That is freedom. That is power. That is what makes discipline effortless over time. Not easy, but natural, expected, normal. So stop focusing only on the finish line. Stop measuring yourself by how far you still have to go. Instead, Focus on the kind of person you're becoming with every step. Say it out loud if you need to. I am a disciplined person. I am the kind of person who shows up. I am the kind of person who follows through. And then prove it, one action at a time. Not to anyone else, just to yourself. Because when your habits match your identity, nothing can pull you off the path. Not failure, not boredom, not difficulty. Because this isn't just something you're doing. It's who you are now. That is the mindset of a Stoic. Not chasing the prize, becoming the person. Number 8, refuse the language of victimhood. Your words matter more than you think. Every sentence you speak is not just sound, it's instruction. You're teaching your mind what to believe, you're programming your will, and if you're using the language of the victim, don't be surprised when your mind starts acting like one. Pay attention to how often people say things like, I can't do this, or it's too hard, or they won't let me. That language sounds harmless, but it's poison. Every time you say it, you're giving your power away. You're telling yourself and everyone around you, I'm not in control. And if you say it enough, you'll start to believe it. But you are in control. You may not control the world, but you control your choices, your attitude, your effort. That's where discipline begins. The Stoics never saw themselves as victims. Life hit them hard. Wars, disease, betrayal, exile, even death. But they never allowed the outside world to take away their inner freedom. They didn't say, I can't go on. They said, I will go on because I choose to. That's the difference. The victim says, this is happening to me. The Stoic says, this is happening, and I will respond with strength. Listen to your own words. When you say, I can't, what you're really saying is, I won't. When you say, it's too hard, what you mean is, I've already decided to quit. And when you say, they won't let me, you're giving someone else power over your life. You must change your language if you want to change your discipline. You must stop speaking like a prisoner and start speaking like a leader. That means no more, I can't. Instead, say, I choose not to. That small shift puts the power back in your hands. Now it's a decision, not a defeat. Don't say, this is impossible. Say, I will find a way. Don't say, I don't have time. Say, I'm not making this a priority right now. Feel the difference? One makes you helpless. The other makes you responsible. And yes, responsibility is heavy, but it's also freeing. When you stop blaming your past, your parents, your job, your circumstances, or your emotions, you finally see the truth. You are not stuck. You are simply not deciding. And that's good news, because it means you can change, you can rise, you can act. Starting today. Marcus Aurelius ruled over an empire filled with chaos, corruption, and war. He could have easily said, this is too much. I didn't choose this. I don't deserve this. But he didn't. He wrote, if you are disturbed, it is not the thing itself that disturbs you, but your judgment of it. And you have the power to change that judgment. That's power. That's ownership. That's discipline. So the next time you hear your mind slipping into weak language, stop it. Cut it off. Correct it in real time. If you say, I can't stay focused today, pause and say, no, that's not true. I'm choosing distraction, and I can also choose to refocus. If you say, they won't let me succeed, stop and say, I don't need their permission. Train yourself to speak with strength, even in private, especially in private. Because your words aren't just heard by the people around you, they're heard by the most important person of all, you. Your words become your beliefs. Your beliefs shape your actions become your habits, and your habits determine your life. So be ruthless with your language. Eliminate weakness, replace it with precision, with honesty, with power. You are not a victim, you are not helpless, you are not stuck. You are simply one decision away from being stronger than you were yesterday. From this moment forward, speak like someone who owns their life, who takes full responsibility, who understands that excuses are a form of surrender, and that surrender is not an option. Tell yourself, I will find a way. Tell yourself, I am responsible. Tell yourself, I choose strength over pity, action over complaint, ownership over blame. And then live like it. Not just in the big moments, but in the small ones, in your routines, in your habits, in your attitude, especially when no one is watching. That's where true power is found. Because the Stoic doesn't wait for fairness. The Stoic doesn't need perfect conditions. The Stoic simply refuses to use the language of defeat. They choose strength, and so will you. Number 9. Build resistance to social sympathy. Be careful. Not all comfort is good for you. Not all kindness is strength. Sometimes the most dangerous thing isn't criticism, it's sympathy. It's when someone looks at you and says, "It's okay, you've done enough, you don't have to keep pushing." And deep down, you want to believe them. You want to relax. You want to stop. That's the trap. Sympathy feels warm, but it softens your edge. It soothes your mind, but weakens your will. And if you accept it too often, you start to expect it. You start to need someone else to tell you it's okay to slow down, to take a break, to stop when it gets hard. And just like that, discipline dies, not in a loud collapse, but in quiet comfort. You have to train yourself to resist this, to recognize when someone's words, even if they come from love, are leading you off your path. This doesn't mean you push people away. It means you stay alert. You stay committed. You keep your mission clear, even when others try to pull you into comfort for your own good. You must know this. Not everyone understands your standards. Not everyone shares your mindset. They might see your discipline and call it too much. They might see your effort and say, "Why are you trying so hard?" They don't say it to hurt you. In fact, they may say it because they care about you. But caring and clarity are not the same thing. And comfort is not always love. A Stoic doesn't train for applause or approval. A Stoic trains for truth, for virtue, for the strength to do what's right, even when others don't understand it. There will be days when you feel exhausted, when your friends or family see you struggling and say, "Just take a day off, you've earned it." And maybe you have, but you know that if you take that day off, you're not doing it from control. You're doing it from weakness. You're doing it because someone gave you permission to step away from your standard. And if that becomes a pattern, your standard starts to erode. Little by little, moment by moment, you become someone who used to be disciplined. And you won't even notice the change until you wake up one day and realize your edge is gone. So what do you do instead? You listen, but you don't follow. You hear the sympathy, but you don't absorb it. You thank people for caring, but you don't let their comfort override your commitment. You remind yourself, "I'm not doing this for approval. I'm doing this because it matters." Marcus Aurelius didn't become one of the most respected emperors in history by doing what felt good. He was surrounded by power, wealth, and people telling him to enjoy it all. But he stayed focused. He stayed firm. He didn't give in to the voices that said, "You deserve to relax." He reminded himself day after day that he was not here to be pampered. He was here to serve, to lead, to live with discipline and reason. You're not here to be pampered either. You're here to grow, to sharpen, to become the kind of person who stays strong even when softness is offered to you. Of course, you're human. You will get tired. You will feel the weight. But you must learn to carry that weight without needing to be told, it's okay to drop it. Because most people will tell you that. Not out of malice, but because most people live below their potential. And when they see you rising, it makes them uncomfortable. It exposes what they're avoiding in their own lives. So they soothe you. They say, "Don't push so hard." But they're not just talking to you. They're talking to themselves. That's why your job is to be unshakable, to receive comfort without being seduced by it, to hear their sympathy and still choose discipline, to say to yourself, "I appreciate your words, but I have work to do. I have a mission, and comfort can wait." And when the time does come for rest, you will choose it, not because you've been told to, but because you've earned it, and because it fits into the system you've built with intention, not as an escape, but as strategy. That's the difference between indulgence and discipline. One needs permission, the other needs purpose. So from now on, resist the soft hand that pulls you away from the path. Respect it, but rise above it. Smile at it, but do not stop for it. Because discipline doesn't grow in comfort, it grows in resistance. And a Stoic never lets sympathy become their excuse. You're not here to be coddled, you're here to become unbreakable. Number 10. Create pain of inaction visuals. Most people don't change because the cost of staying the same doesn't feel real. They say they want to grow. They say they want to be disciplined. But because the consequences of inaction are far off and invisible, there's no pressure to act now. So they wait, they delay, they make excuses, and without realizing it, they waste years. But a Stoic doesn't wait for consequences to show up. A Stoic brings them into the mind now, clearly, vividly, painfully. This is where negative visualization becomes your tool. The ancient Stoics used this practice not to torture themselves, but to sharpen their sense of urgency. They asked, what if I keep delaying? What if I let comfort win? What kind of life will that lead to? They didn't run from these thoughts. They faced them, and in doing so, they moved faster, with more focus, more clarity, more fire. You must learn to do the same. Right now, I want you to imagine what your life will look like if you don't change. Really imagine it. Not in a vague way, but in detail. Let the picture hit you in the gut. Picture yourself 1 year from now. You're still talking about your goals, still telling yourself that next week you'll get serious, still waking up tired, distracted, disconnected from your purpose. Your clothes fit worse. Your energy is lower. You're ashamed of your own excuses, but you've used them so many times they sound normal now. Now go deeper. Picture 3 years from now. You've lost even more confidence. You've stopped setting goals because you don't believe you'll follow through. You're surrounded by clutter, mental, emotional, physical. You feel disconnected from the version of yourself you wanted to become. Maybe you've disappointed people. Maybe you've disappointed yourself. Maybe you've accepted that this is just who you are now. Now go further. 10 years. What does your life look like if you keep doing exactly what you're doing now? What's your body like? Your mind? Your relationships? What kind of person are you showing your children, your family, your peers, when you live in excuses instead of discipline? How much potential have you left untapped, buried under the rubble of distractions and delayed decisions? Really see it, smell it, hear it, make it real. Because that is the cost of inaction, not just missed goals, not just a few bad habits, but a slow death of purpose, a quiet collapse of who you were meant to be. Now here's the truth that most people ignore. You are creating that future right now by what you choose today. You are either walking toward the disciplined, focused version of yourself, or you are drifting further away from it. There is no pause button. Time keeps moving, whether you act or not. The pain of discipline is real, but it is sharp, short, and strengthening. The pain of inaction is slower, quieter, but it lasts forever, and it rots you from the inside out. This is why you must make the cost of inaction emotional, vivid, personal. If you don't, your mind will forget. It will return to comfort, and comfort will lie to you. It will say, "You're fine. You'll start tomorrow," over and over, until there are no tomorrows left. So use this tool. Sit in silence. Picture the future that will come if you don't change. Let it shake you. Let it wake you. Let it make you uncomfortable enough to act. Then do the opposite. Picture the future that's possible if you stay disciplined. Imagine your strength, your clarity, your confidence. Imagine walking through life with the quiet pride of knowing you showed up every day, even when it was hard, especially when it was hard. And ask yourself, which version do I want to become? Now come back to the present. Breathe and get to work. Because this isn't just about habits. It's about destiny. It's about where your life is actually going. Every decision you make is a step. The only question is, which direction are you walking in? Use the pain of inaction as fuel. Let it light the fire inside you. And when your mind whispers, "It's okay to skip today," answer back with the image of that future you never want to live in. Let it be the warning sign. Let it be the fire alarm. Let it be the slap that brings you back to reality. You don't have time to waste. You don't need to wait to feel inspired. You need to remember what's at stake. Because if you don't, no one else will. This is your life, your standard, your responsibility. So visualize the pain. Feel it, and then rise. That's how a Stoic lives, not just for success, but to avoid regret. Discipline begins when you stop fearing hard work and start fearing the cost of avoiding it. Number 11. Train in controlled hardship. Discipline doesn't begin when life gets hard. It begins when you choose hard, on purpose. It begins when you stop avoiding discomfort and start seeking it out, not recklessly, not dramatically, but deliberately, intentionally, quietly. Most people spend their lives running from discomfort. The moment things feel cold, heavy, boring, quiet, or difficult, they look for an escape. They scroll, they snack, they quit. Their nervous system has been trained to seek relief, not resilience. So when real pressure shows up, they break, they panic, they fold. But not you, not anymore. A Stoic does not wait for the world to create pressure. A Stoic creates it for himself, on purpose, in training, in daily life, in small moments of chosen discomfort that forge inner strength. This is the art of controlled hardship. You don't need a crisis to get stronger. You don't need tragedy to become tough. You need simple, repeatable practices that expose you to friction, so you can stop being afraid of it. You make the hard thing familiar, and when it becomes familiar, it becomes manageable, even normal. Think of cold showers. Most people avoid them like pain itself. But you stand in it. You feel your breath speed up, your body resist, and you don't run. You breathe. You endure. You train your nervous system to stay calm, even when it wants to escape. This is not about proving something to others. It's about proving something to yourself. You fast for a day, not because you want to lose weight, but because you want to feel hunger without fear. You want to remind your body, I am in control, not you. You skip a meal and realize you're still alive, still clear-headed, still capable. You've just broken a piece of dependency and gained a piece of freedom. You walk instead of drive. You sit in silence instead of entertainment. You do nothing for 10 minutes instead of always doing something. These small things sound simple, but they are weapons, tools, methods to sharpen the blade of your mind, because the world is soft and comfort is everywhere. But discipline is not built in softness. Discipline is built where it's rough, where it's quiet, where it's inconvenient. And if you want to be the kind of person who doesn't panic when life punches you, you need to practice taking hits every day, on purpose. Controlled hardship is not about becoming numb. It's about becoming aware, aware of your reactions, aware of your excuses, aware of your need for comfort, and your ability to deny it. Seneca, one of the most practical Stoics, practiced this often. He would sleep on the floor, wear simple clothing, eat cheap food. He didn't do this because he had to. He did it because he wanted to remind himself that luxury is not necessity, that comfort is not survival, that fear is often just in the mind. He asked, "Is this the condition I so feared?" And the answer was always no. Because once you feel hardship with your own skin, you take away its power. You stop fearing the fall. You start trusting your strength. This is why training in controlled hardship matters. It's not punishment. It's preparation. It's rehearsal for real life, for the unexpected, for the storm that will eventually come. Because it will come. No one escapes that. But when it does, you'll be ready. You won't collapse. You won't cry for ease. You'll rise, not because life got easier, but because you got harder. This training doesn't have to be extreme. It just has to be real, honest, daily. Let your bed be a little less soft. Let your food be a little less frequent. Let your comfort be optional, not automatic. When your body says, "Stop," tell it, "Not yet." When your mind says, "This is too much," tell it, "I've felt worse." When the world says, "Take it easy," tell yourself, "This is where I grow." Controlled hardship is not cruelty. It is self-respect. It is preparation. It is the practice of choosing to be stronger than you were yesterday by doing what most people refuse to do. You're not training to impress. You're training to endure. So tomorrow, do something uncomfortable, something small, something no one sees, and do it on purpose. Not to suffer, but to train. Not to punish, but to prepare. Not to win the day, but to sharpen the mind behind it. That's how you build a disciplined life. That's how you stop fearing challenge. That's how you grow. Not when life forces you to, but when you decide to. That's how you become stoic. Number 12. Kill the excuse loop at its source. Excuses don't come out of nowhere. They have roots, triggers, a pattern. And if you don't learn to recognize that pattern, you'll keep falling into it over and over again without even realizing it. You'll say things like, "I don't know why I didn't do it," or "It just slipped away from me today." But that's not true. It didn't slip. You gave it away. Not because you're weak, but because you weren't paying attention to the early signs, the moments that led up to the excuse. Discipline dies in slow motion. It starts with a whisper, not a roar, a small feeling, a passing thought, an internal negotiation. I'll do it later. I'm too tired today. I've done enough this week. Other people are taking breaks. I deserve one too. You hear those voices in your head, and if you don't stop them early, they multiply. They build momentum. And by the time you realize what's happened, the damage is already done. That's the excuse loop. And if you want to live with discipline, you must learn to kill that loop before it begins. The first step is to identify your triggers, not someone else's, yours. What patterns show up when you start making excuses? What states of mind always seem to come right before you give in? Is it fatigue? When you're low on energy, does your commitment vanish? Is it fear? When something feels big or uncertain, do you run back to what's comfortable? Is it comparison? When you see someone doing better than you, do you start to doubt yourself and stop showing up? You already know the answers. You've seen the loop. You've lived it, and that's good, because once you name it, you can beat it. The Stoics believed that self-awareness was one of the most powerful tools in life. They didn't just respond to the world, they studied themselves. They asked, what provokes me? What distracts me? What makes me weak? And what can I do to prepare for it? That's what you need to do now. Create a battle plan, not for when the excuse is already screaming in your head, but for when it's still quiet, still small, still beatable. If you know fatigue is your trigger, then don't wait until you're drained to decide what to do. Decide now. Set a rule. When I feel tired, I will still show up, but I'll simplify the task, not skip it. That way, you stay in motion. You keep the chain unbroken. You don't give in to zero. If fear is your trigger, build a response that grounds you. Remind yourself, fear is a signal, not a stop sign. I can act with fear. I don't need to wait for confidence. And if comparison is your trigger, train your eyes to stay on your path. Tell yourself, someone else's pace does not change my purpose. I'm here to finish my own race. This is how you kill the excuse loop at the root. You don't wait to feel strong. You plan for the moment when you'll feel weak, and you decide ahead of time how you will respond. Because if you don't decide now, your mind will decide for you later. And in that moment, it will choose comfort. It will choose ease. It will choose the excuse that it has used 1,000 times before. You must break the pattern, not with willpower, but with strategy. You are not undisciplined. You are just unprepared. But you can change that, right now. Sit with yourself and ask, what are the top 3 situations that lead to excuses in my life? Be honest. Don't judge. Just observe. Then choose your response. Write it down. Memorize it. Repeat it. So when the excuse shows up, you won't be caught off guard. You'll already have the answer. This is what Stoic discipline looks like. Not just pushing through, but preparing wisely. Not waiting for the storm, but training for it. You won't always feel motivated, but you can always feel ready. You won't always feel strong, but you can always have a plan. And the moment that plan is in place, you shift from being reactive to being proactive. That's the difference between the average and the elite. The average person waits to feel like doing the right thing. The elite person prepares to do the right thing no matter how they feel. So kill the excuse loop. Learn your triggers. Set your responses. And the next time that old voice whispers, just skip today, you won't even hesitate. You'll already know what to do. That's how you build discipline that doesn't break. That's how you become someone who doesn't wait for strength. You become it. That's how you live like a Stoic. Now you see it clearly. Excuses are lies, soft words that shield you from growth. And the truth is this: no one cares about your excuses, not the world, not your competitors, and not the future you that's counting on your discipline. What matters is what you do when no one's watching. What matters is how you respond when things get hard. Discipline isn't built through talk. It's built through silent accountability, through killing comfort, facing the boring reps, choosing identity over outcome, and refusing to let emotion or weakness lead the way. 12 habits, 12 tools, one mindset. I am not a victim. I am not waiting. I am not quitting. You don't need more time. You need more commitment. You don't need more motivation. You need more action. And starting today, you will operate like a Stoic, not because it's easy, but because it's who you are now. Now, here's your challenge. Comment below. No more excuses. I build discipline. I am Stoic. Type it, mean it, repeat it until it becomes your code. This isn't just a comment, it's your first action. And if this message hits something in you, subscribe. Not because it's trendy, but because this is where people come to train, not escape. We're building warriors of the mind, and you're one of them now. Let's get to work. Why wait around for the world to change when you have the power to become the change yourself? Isn't it wiser to tend to your own inner world before attempting to rearrange the external one? In this journey, we call life, turning inward and focusing on ourselves is not just important, it's essential for attracting the unimaginable into our reality. That's exactly why we've put together this video, filled with transformative lessons and thoughtful quotes that are meant to resonate deep within you. These are not just words, they are keys that can unlock what you once thought impossible. If this is your first time visiting the channel, I humbly ask for your support. Subscribe, like the video, and help us keep bringing content like this to those who need it. These reflections are created to serve as a balm for your soul, a gentle reminder that adversity doesn't last forever, and that your inner strength, though sometimes dormant, is always there, waiting to be awakened. Let yourself absorb these powerful truths with an open heart and a receptive mind. Let them nourish your spirit and lift you out of the shadows. Together, we can turn darkness into light and summon the courage to keep moving forward. Before we begin, I have a challenge for you. Watch this video until the end. Don't skip a single moment. Somewhere among these reflections could lie the key to changing your life forever. Let's begin with the art of ataraxia. Step into the profound world of imperturbable calm. Ataraxia refers to a state of deep serenity, untouched by the storms of life. Picture yourself sailing through chaotic waters. The waves crash, the wind howls, and the sky looms heavy with foreboding clouds. And yet, you remain still, your gaze locked on the horizon, composed and centered. That is the very essence of living in ataraxia. Rooted in Stoic philosophy, this state of being is not reserved for the enlightened few. It's a mindset that anyone can cultivate with intention and awareness. Why is it important to maintain such serenity? Because just as in the sea, life constantly surprises us with storms, work stress, interpersonal conflicts, unexpected illness. These waves threaten to knock us off balance. But staying calm doesn't mean pretending problems don't exist. It means facing them with a steady heart and a clear, thoughtful mind. Marcus Aurelius said it beautifully. Perfect tranquility consists in the good ordering of the mind within your own realm. Each difficulty is an opportunity to build our capacity for presence and poise. So, how can we meet these challenges with clarity and calm? Preparation and perspective are key. Personally, I rely on a daily morning practice of meditation and introspective reflection. I take time to mentally rehearse the day's potential obstacles and imagine myself responding with calm, measured resolve. This ritual acts as my mental armor, shielding me from impulsive reactions and guiding me to act with intention. Let's discuss some techniques to cultivate this inner peace. One of the most helpful is the practice of mindfulness. By anchoring yourself to the present moment, you silence the buzzing worries of what might happen or what already has. Another method is practicing positive self-talk. When difficulties arise, I remind myself, "This will pass. I can handle this." Transforming your internal dialogue is not just helpful, it's crucial to nurturing a lasting peace. There is also a strong link between ataraxia and wise decision-making. A tranquil state enables your mind to function at its highest capacity, free from emotional chaos. Choices made from this place of calm are not only more thoughtful, but also better aligned with your values and long-term purpose. Ever notice how our decisions under stress tend to be reactive rather than intentional? Ataraxia is the antidote to that. To develop this state in your everyday life, I recommend a few practices that have served me well. One is negative visualization, a classic Stoic exercise. I regularly spend time envisioning worst-case scenarios and how I might respond. This not only builds my resilience, but also deepens my gratitude for the present moment. Another powerful tool is maintaining a gratitude journal. Each night, I reflect on 3 things I'm grateful for. This simple habit creates a mindset of abundance and quiet strength. I encourage you to try these practices and pay attention to how your sense of peace and clarity grows over time. Ataraxia is not a final destination, it's an ongoing path. As Epictetus wisely said, "Don't ask for events to happen as you want them to, but wish for them to happen as they do, and you will find peace." This is the heart of ataraxia, and it's yours to claim. Now, let's move into the power of mastering the will. Imagine you're facing an obstacle that seems insurmountable. Your resources are limited. Time is slipping away. Every step feels like 2 steps backward. This is where your true strength is tested, not just your skills, but your willpower. In my own journey, I've found that mastering the will is not only vital for success, but it is the very root of what it means to rise above adversity and transform struggle into triumph. Resilience doesn't just happen. Stoic strength is forged through intentional training of the will. As the philosopher Seneca once said, the difficulty of a task doesn't come from the effort it demands, but from the level of commitment you invest. I vividly remember a point in my life when a work project was crumbling, seemingly doomed. I was tempted to give up, but that's when I made a conscious decision to turn this challenge into a lesson, to grow my will like a muscle under strain. Training your will is much like physical training. It demands routine, effort, and the right techniques. One strategy I used was breaking overwhelming tasks into smaller, manageable actions. This made the work feel lighter and gave me momentum through little wins. For example, when facing a large report, I began by planning each section in detail before writing. Every completed part became a victory, pulling me closer to my goal. Procrastination is one of the fiercest enemies of the will. Overcoming it requires more than just good intentions. It demands firm discipline. What helped me was establishing a strict schedule, assigning time to each task, and committing to it. By respecting my own time and boundaries, I became more productive and more present. We can learn from figures like Marcus Aurelius, who governed an empire while embracing Stoicism. His writings, his personal meditations, are a testimony to how self-discipline and reflection merge to create an indomitable will. His daily choices didn't just shape his life, they influenced the lives of millions. He led with a spirit trained by philosophy and purpose. I encourage you to treat these strategies and stories not as abstract ideas, but as tools for your personal battles. Strengthen your will like you would any muscle, with consistency and conscious effort. In doing so, you'll find that true power lies not in controlling others, but in mastering yourself and turning every obstacle into a stepping stone. Now, let's talk about acceptance and resilience. Imagine you're in the middle of a storm, not just any storm, but a life-altering one. The sky grows dark, winds howl around you, and everything you've built seems in danger of collapse. It's in moments like these that the wisdom of Epictetus rings loud and true. Strength isn't about resisting the wind, but knowing where to set your sails. So how can we apply this principle to our everyday lives? How do we cultivate acceptance and resilience? From my own experience, I've learned that acceptance doesn't mean surrender. It's not about giving up. It's about recognizing that some aspects of life are simply out of our hands. A few years ago, I lost a job that I loved due to budget cuts. At first, I felt hopeless, but I eventually realized that I couldn't change the company's financial situation. What I could change, however, was my response. That was the turning point. I began to view this loss not as an end, but as a chance to grow, to pivot, and to strengthen my inner foundation. That's what building a resilient mindset is all about, turning pain into possibility. And you can do it too. The next time you're faced with a difficult situation, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Instead of focusing on the problem, shift your energy toward growth. Let each challenge teach you something new. This ability to navigate difficulties requires both mental flexibility and an open mind. Going back to my own experience, I made a conscious decision to use my free time wisely, to improve my skills and explore areas that had always sparked my curiosity but had been neglected due to a busy schedule. This not only boosted my employability, but also gave me a renewed sense of direction and purpose. Discovering strength in the midst of uncertainty is arguably one of life's greatest challenges. During these times, practices like meditation and quiet reflection become incredibly valuable. Each morning, I take a few minutes to meditate, focusing on the things I'm grateful for and the strengths I possess. This simple habit has helped me maintain focus and stay optimistic, even when the future feels unclear. Cultivating acceptance and resilience isn't something you master overnight. It's a continuous journey of learning and evolving. One exercise that's proven especially helpful to me is journaling. Every night, I write about the challenges I encountered during the day and how I responded to them. This not only highlights my progress, but also sheds light on areas where I can improve. As you can see, developing acceptance and resilience is a deeply personal journey, one marked by highs and lows. Yet, when we draw upon Stoic wisdom and commit ourselves to growth, we become capable of weathering any storm with grace and inner strength. Remember the powerful words of Marcus Aurelius, a giant of Stoic thought. Our life is what our thoughts make it. If you make your mind your ally, there will be no hardship you cannot overcome. Now, let's reflect on what it means to live in the present. Picture yourself walking through a peaceful park. Your eyes take in the lush green of the trees and the sky painted with cotton-like clouds. You breathe in deeply, feeling the fresh air fill your lungs. That simple moment is the true essence of being present, fully embracing life exactly as it unfolds. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." His words echo the heart of mindfulness. The ability to be entirely immersed in the now, without letting your mind drag you toward future anxieties or past regrets. But how do we actually achieve this presence? First, we must acknowledge how often our minds wander, either spinning stories about the future that rarely come true or rehashing past events we can't change. This not only drains us emotionally, but also blocks us from appreciating the current moment. This is where mindfulness becomes a powerful ally. Cultivating awareness of the present requires a shift in perception, a constant practice akin to strengthening a neglected muscle. For example, as I write these words, I focus on the sensation of the keys beneath my fingers and the soft rhythm of my breath. This allows me to become fully immersed in the process of writing. This practice extends to every part of life. When you eat, are you savoring each bite, or are you distracted by a screen? When speaking with others, are you truly listening, or simply preparing your next response? Mindfulness calls us back to the present again and again through small, intentional practices. One such exercise is conscious observation. Pick an object around you, a plant, a book, even your own hand, and observe it closely for a full minute. Notice its color, texture, and how light dances across its surface. You'll find that this simple act can quiet your mind and root you in the now. Another powerful practice is breathing meditation. Close your eyes and focus solely on your breath. Feel the air entering and exiting your lungs. If your thoughts drift, gently but firmly return your attention to your breathing. This not only grounds your awareness, but also strengthens your capacity to stay present. It is in this state of presence that true happiness resides. Mindfulness releases us from the grip of regret and anxiety, enabling us to appreciate life more fully, moment by moment. It allows us to find peace, not in what could have been or what might be, but in what is. So I encourage you to embrace mindfulness not as just another task, but as a way of living with awe and gratitude. Remember, being present isn't something that just happens. It's a conscious decision, one that requires effort and commitment. Are you ready to start this journey? Your mindful self is waiting, right here, right now. Let us now reflect on virtue as a guiding principle. On the journey of life, many of us search for a beacon to steer our actions and decisions toward a more meaningful destination. Have you ever felt a longing for clear direction? A desire to know that each step you take is shaping a better version of yourself? Today, I'd like to offer a reflection on that path, one lit by the steady light of virtue. With Stoicism as our guide, imagine yourself standing in the midst of a dense forest, unsure which way to go. The confusion can feel paralyzing, but here virtue serves as your inner compass, not pointing you toward the easiest route, but toward the right one. Living in alignment with our values is rarely the path of least resistance. In fact, we're often met with external pressures that tempt us to compromise those ideals. But as Seneca wisely said, you cannot enjoy a full life without challenges. With that in mind, let's journey through the cardinal Stoic virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These are not just admirable traits, they are practical tools for navigating life's trials. Wisdom is the light that helps you recognize solutions where others only see barriers. It is applied knowledge, the ability to find calming, constructive words in a heated conversation rather than ones that ignite further conflict. Courage, on the other hand, is about standing firm in the face of fear and hardship. It doesn't mean being fearless. It means choosing to act despite fear. Think of a time when you had to speak in public, even though it terrified you. Courage is what pushes you onto that stage to share your truth and leave a meaningful impression. Justice, meanwhile, is the call to look beyond self-interest. In a world that often rewards selfishness, choosing fairness and considering others' needs as equal to your own is a revolutionary act. Think of moments when you helped a colleague, not for reward, but because it was the right thing to do. Then there is temperance, the virtue of moderation. In an age of instant gratification, this may be the most difficult virtue to embody. But have you ever experienced the deep satisfaction that comes from resisting a fleeting temptation for the sake of a higher good? That's the power of temperance. Practicing these virtues doesn't just lead to a more ethical life, it brings greater fulfillment. Every decision guided by virtue builds character and deepens our sense of meaning. Stories of people like Marcus Aurelius, who led with justice and wisdom, or modern figures like Nelson Mandela, who exemplified courage and commitment to fairness, inspire us to follow their example. So the next time you find yourself at a crossroads, ask, what would the wisest, the bravest, the most just, or the most temperate version of me do? Let virtue be your compass. Though the road may be harder, it is the one that leads to a life of real meaning and inner peace. And remember this Stoic wisdom from Marcus Aurelius: the best kind of revenge is not to be like your enemy. Now, let's explore the importance of self-knowledge. Let me tell you a story, one that walks along the path of self-discovery through the eyes of someone learning from Stoic philosophy. This personal journey may feel familiar to you. It all began with a simple yet profound realization. Self-knowledge is the root of all personal growth and wisdom. I recall the day I encountered a powerful quote by the Stoic philosopher Epictetus: "Know yourself and don't worry about what others think of you." At that point, I was going through a difficult season, full of doubt and confusion, looking for answers in all the wrong places. That phrase echoed in my soul, prompting deep introspection about who I really was and what I truly desired. Through the lens of Stoicism, I came to understand that self-awareness is the bedrock of inner stability. It helped me shift my focus from external validation to internal clarity. Instead of constantly adapting to others' expectations, I began asking myself meaningful questions. What are my core values? What brings me fulfillment? What patterns do I keep repeating? This inward journey wasn't always easy. It required honesty, vulnerability, and patience. But it also brought an incredible sense of peace and direction. Stoic philosophy teaches us that self-knowledge is not a one-time realization. It's a lifelong pursuit. It's about learning to observe our reactions, question our assumptions, and align our actions with our values. With every insight gained, we grow stronger, more grounded, and more at ease with ourselves. And in that deepening self-awareness, we find the wisdom to navigate life with purpose, clarity, and grace. I came to understand that to face adversity with strength and balance, I first needed to know my own strengths and weaknesses. Have you ever truly taken the time to ask yourself what your true strengths are? Have you been completely honest with yourself about your weaknesses? This process of personal inquiry is crucial for any Stoic. Over time, I developed strategies to deepen my self-knowledge, one of which was the consistent practice of meditation. I dedicated daily time for reflection. Another method I adopted was journaling. In my personal journal, I not only recorded events and thoughts, but I also paid close attention to how I emotionally reacted to them. I encourage you to try these techniques. You may be surprised by the insights they offer about your character and motivations. As my self-knowledge grew, so did my ability to make wiser and more mature decisions. My decisions began to reflect my values, not the expectations of others. This freed me from much of the social pressure I once felt, allowing me to chart a more authentic path toward my goals. Imagine how it would feel to make decisions that align perfectly with who you truly are. One of the most effective exercises I found for enhancing self-awareness involved asking myself deep questions, especially in times of conflict. Instead of reacting immediately, I asked myself, what part of this situation is truly important for my growth? Am I acting in accordance with my Stoic principles, or am I being driven by fleeting emotions? This practice helped me better understand my motivations and align my actions with them. Through this introspection, every step, every decision became an opportunity to affirm my character and move closer to Stoic virtue. I encourage you to embark on your own journey of self-knowledge. It won't be easy, and at times looking deeply within yourself may feel disorienting. However, remember what Marcus Aurelius said, "The mirror of the soul is clear, but you must clean it to see the light of your true self." So, cultivate your mind, know yourself, and allow yourself to live a life of full science and authenticity. Dare to begin this journey towards self-knowledge. Your personal story could be just as revealing and transformative as the one I've shared with you. Now, imagine yourself in a difficult situation, one where it seems like everything around you is conspiring to test you. Your heart is racing, and you can feel the tension building in every part of your body. At this very moment, you have an opportunity to demonstrate one of the most powerful principles of Stoicism, the control of emotions. Let me share how I learned to remain calm during an emotional storm. A few years ago, I faced a significant personal crisis. My emotions were on the verge of overflowing, like powerful waves crashing against the cliffs. Yet, I remembered a phrase I had read in Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. You have power over your mind, not over external events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This simple yet powerful quote became my mantra during those moments of crisis. I applied a strategy I had studied in Stoic texts, the premeditated visualization of adversities, known as premeditatio malorum. Every morning before starting my day, I took a few minutes to visualize potential challenges and mentally rehearsed how I would respond to them calmly and rationally. This practice helped me mentally prepare for any adversity, making it easier to manage and regulate my emotions when the actual challenges arose. Another invaluable technique I adopted was emotional distancing, or what the Stoics refer to as objectification. Instead of saying, "I am angry," I changed my perspective and said, "There is anger present." This simple shift in how I framed my thoughts helped me realize that emotions are temporary and do not define my essence. I learned to observe my emotions as if they were passing clouds in the sky of my mind, rather than being swept away by them. Have you ever noticed how, in moments of intense emotion, it's easy to lose sight of our principles and react in ways that we later regret? This is where Stoic wisdom proves invaluable. The Stoics believed that true power lies in our ability to choose our response to any situation. While we can't control what happens to us, we can control how we respond to it. To maintain balance in any situation, the Stoics recommend returning to the present moment. For example, in the midst of a heated discussion, I pause and focus on my breathing, observing each inhale and exhale, which helps me return to calm. This simple act centers me and brings me back to the present, allowing me to respond from a place of reason rather than emotion. These strategies are not only useful in times of crisis, but are daily tools for cultivating serenity and inner strength. By practicing them, you not only enhance your own well-being, but you also become a beacon of calm for others. Remember, as Seneca said, the greatest part of progress is the desire to progress. I encourage you to adopt these Stoic practices in your daily life and witness how they transform your ability to manage your emotions and face life's challenges with wisdom. Imagine, every day when you wake up, the first thought that crosses your mind is one of deep gratitude, not for the material things you possess, but for the simple gift of life itself. You are grateful for the opportunity to breathe, to live, and for the possibilities that each new day brings. I'm speaking directly to you because I want you to envision this practice not as a tedious exercise, but as an adventure that leads you toward happiness. I discovered the power of gratitude during a time in my life when everything felt meaningless. I was caught in a cycle of negativity and frustration where every day felt like a repeat of the one before. But then I came across a quote by the Stoic philosopher Epictetus: "Only when we appreciate what we have can we truly be free." This simple quote shifted my perspective completely, and I began practicing gratitude daily. Every morning, before even getting out of bed, I took a moment to think of 3 things I was grateful for. At first, they were simple things: my health, a roof over my head, and food on the table. But over time, I started to notice the smaller, often overlooked blessings: a stranger's smile, the beauty of a tree on my walk to work, the peace of a quiet evening. These daily practices gradually transformed my outlook. I began to see that, no matter the circumstances, there was always something to be thankful for. And now I want you to pause and think, how many things do you overlook each day that deserve your gratitude? To cultivate an attitude of continuous gratitude, I began keeping a gratitude journal. Each night before bed, I wrote down 3 new things for which I was thankful that day, small things as well as big. I also worked to shift my internal dialogue. Whenever I caught myself thinking negatively about a situation, I consciously reframed it to find something positive. For instance, if I was stuck in traffic, instead of feeling frustrated, I reminded myself, this is a chance to listen to my favorite podcast. I started to connect gratitude with the Stoic mindset of acceptance. I realized that accepting things as they are does not mean resigning to them. It means recognizing their value without wishing they were different. In that acceptance, there is a deep peace, knowing that, while we can't control everything that happens to us, we can control how we respond. I encourage you to develop your own daily gratitude practice. Begin with something as simple as being thankful for each meal, every restful moment, and every enriching interaction. Remember, gratitude not only improves your own life, but it also has the power to positively affect the lives of those around you. When you express gratitude, even for the smallest things, you radiate positive energy. Gratitude is contagious. It's not just an emotion, but a powerful tool for happiness and well-being. As Marcus Aurelius, another great Stoic, said, "The quality of our days is defined by the appreciation we give them." Cultivate thoughts of gratitude and watch how your life transforms. I assure you, the journey is worth it. Now, imagine standing on the edge of a cliff. Before you, an abyss beckons, tempting you to step back in fear. But something deep within urges you to take the leap. This moment encapsulates the true confrontation with fear, the critical point where fear challenges you, but courage calls you forward. The decisions we make in life can have a profound impact. While I haven't literally stood on the edge of a cliff, I've found myself in situations that demanded a leap of faith, moments when fear felt as tangible as the wind that whips against your face. To paraphrase Epictetus, a wise Stoic would remind us that it is only when we confront our fears that we uncover the true reserves of strength within us. This idea has been a guiding light for me, especially during times when fear seemed ready to overwhelm me. Let me share how I turned that fear into courage and how it offers a chance for personal growth. Each time I faced a daunting challenge, I realized that fear wasn't a roadblock, but rather a signal for my own growth. I vividly remember the first time I had to speak publicly. The fear of making mistakes and the anxiety over others' judgment were overwhelming. But as I confronted those fears, not only did I survive the experience, I also uncovered a passion for public speaking and a talent for communication that I didn't know I had. This made me realize that fear and growth go hand in hand. Facing and overcoming fear with stoic courage is essential. The secret lies in preparation and reflection. When fear appears, I take a moment to analyze what the worst-case scenario might be. I consider how likely it is that the feared outcome will actually occur. More often than not, I find that the catastrophe I imagined is far less likely than fear makes me believe. Preparing for even the most difficult scenarios has given me the strength to take action despite the fear. Fear becomes a driving force, not a barrier. Instead of letting fear paralyze me, I've learned to use it as a catalyst for progress. This transformation doesn't happen instantly or easily, but it's incredibly rewarding. Imagine fear as the compressed energy in a spring. When it is released, that energy propels you forward with renewed vigor. Confronting our fears is a necessary step toward realizing our potential. If we never faced the fear of failure, we would never discover new skills or strengths. Each fear we overcome brings us closer to the boldest versions of ourselves. At this very moment, you might be just one courageous action away from a completely transformed life. Consider inspiring examples of others who have turned fear into courage. Take Anna Torres, for example, a young woman who, despite her fear of the dark and confined spaces, joined a rescue team in caves. Her determination to overcome her phobia didn't just save lives during a mission, it also became a powerful story of personal courage. I encourage you to reflect on your own fears and recognize how each one represents a hidden opportunity for growth, both personally and professionally. Remember, courage isn't the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. Are you ready to take that leap toward your own transformation? On my journey to greater serenity and emotional freedom, I discovered a powerful tool, the art of detachment. Picture yourself in the middle of a forest, surrounded by trees gently swaying in the wind. You're simply observing, not attempting to control the direction of the wind or the rustling of the leaves. This state of passive observation, without any urge to hold on to or change what's happening, captures the essence of detachment. Detachment is often misunderstood as indifference or disinterest, but in truth, it offers a way to liberate ourselves from the tyranny of our own expectations and the outcomes we often try to predetermine. Think about how many times you felt anxiety or disappointment because things didn't unfold the way you expected. I, too, have experienced this tension more times than I can count. Detachment provides us with an alternative approach, allowing us to do our best while accepting that the final outcome is not always in our control. In everyday practice, detachment becomes a practice of acceptance. For instance, when working to improve an important relationship, I used to worry excessively about how my actions or words would be received. But I learned to focus on being authentic and sincere, not obsessing over how my behavior would be perceived or whether I'd achieve the desired result. This shift in focus not only alleviated much of my anxiety, but it also deepened my relationships, making them more genuine and less forced. Detachment is also a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. The Stoics believed that peace comes from accepting what we cannot change and focusing on how we respond to circumstances. As Epictetus famously said, "Only when we accept the futility of clinging to the uncontrollable do we begin to find peace." This mindset has helped me navigate personal and professional challenges with a clearer mind and a calmer heart. Now, let's speak directly to you. Imagine you're facing a difficult situation, perhaps a conflict at work or a personal goal that feels unattainable. I invite you to practice detachment by asking yourself, what can I control here? Focus your energy on what you can influence and let go of the rest. It won't be easy, but with practice, this approach can free you from much unnecessary anxiety. A simple practice I've found useful is acceptance meditation. Every morning, I spend a few minutes closing my eyes, breathing deeply, and accepting each thought and sensation without judgment. This daily exercise strengthens my ability to apply detachment throughout the day. Detachment is not about indifference or lacking passion. It's about the wisdom of not being swept away by what is beyond our control. In the end, detachment frees us to live fully, accepting the natural flow of life with both grace and strength. Remember Marcus Aurelius's words, "Master your reactions, and you will have conquered your peace." Through detachment, you can cultivate thoughts that allow you to remain at peace, regardless of what life throws at you. In the course of my life, I've often found myself standing at the crossroads of desire and moderation. As the narrator of my own story, I want to share how finding balance between these two forces can lead us to a fuller, more meaningful existence. Imagine standing before a grand banquet of endless possibilities, each dish representing a desire, an ambition, or a dream. At first, you may feel the urge to pile your plate high, eager to sample everything. However, I've learned that the true secret lies not in how much we accumulate, but in how we manage the choices we make. The key is to find a healthy balance in our desires. It's not about repressing or eliminating them, but about channeling them so that they enrich our lives rather than overpower them. I remember one afternoon when I walked past store windows filled with the latest technology. My initial impulse was to buy the newest gadget, driven by that craving for novelty. But then, I paused to ask myself, do I really need this? Will it add lasting value to my life, or is it just a fleeting pleasure? This moment of reflection allowed me to exercise a strategy that would prevent overindulgence. I chose to walk away, and with every step, I felt a sense of freedom, as moderation freed me from the invisible chains of unnecessary desires. Moderation is a virtue highly valued in Stoic philosophy. It not only helps us avoid excess, but it also fortifies our character. As Seneca said, "It is not the man who has little, but he who desires more, who is poor." By adopting temperance, we not only manage our resources better, but we also gain tranquility and satisfaction. Moderation teaches us to enjoy the present moment and appreciate what we already have, instead of focusing on what we lack. In my own life, the connection between moderation and Stoic temperance becomes most apparent in moments of hardship. When challenges arise, temperance serves as an anchor, reminding me that while I cannot always control my circumstances, I can control how I respond to them. This resilience is what enables us to move forward with strength and grace, even in the strongest storms. I invite you to reflect on how moderation might improve your life. Think about a recent decision where you opted for a more moderate approach, perhaps turning down a job offer that promised more money but less time with your loved ones. Though such decisions can be difficult, they often bring greater peace and balance. The next time you face the banquet of life, remember that moderation isn't a limitation. It's a conscious choice toward a deeper, more fulfilling well-being. Embrace this ancient wisdom and discover the balance that can transform your life into a work of art. As a child, I was taught that empathy is the key that opens the door to the hearts of others. Today, I want to share how this deeply Stoic quality has shaped my life and how it can transform yours as well. Empathy, the ability to put oneself in another person's shoes, not only connects us with others, but it also elevates us to a more harmonious and just plane of existence. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once said, "What is not good for the hive is not good for the bee either." This phrase resonates in every act of empathy, because when we understand and share the feelings of another, we realize that individual well-being is inextricably linked to the collective. I often reflect on a particularly illuminating moment in my life when I encountered an old friend who was going through a personal crisis. Instead of offering unsolicited advice or trivializing her pain, I chose to simply listen to her. In that moment, I was fully present, hearing her fears, hopes, and struggles, and through that act of empathy, I was able to understand the depth of her suffering. This strengthened our friendship and taught me an invaluable lesson about the importance of being present. Cultivating empathy in our interactions may seem like a monumental task, but it really comes down to simple, conscious practices. For instance, when you talk to someone, try to listen more than you speak. Observe not only their words, but also the body language and emotions that accompany them. This practice will allow you to better understand the other person and will, in turn, enrich the quality of your relationships. The connection between empathy and Stoic justice becomes clear in how we treat others. If we act with empathy, we are more inclined to be fair because we recognize that every person deserves consideration and respect. In my own life, I have seen how small, empathetic gestures can resolve conflicts and build bridges where there were once walls. Finally, I want to propose some practical things that I have personally found transformative. Every day, try to perform at least one act of conscious empathy. It can be something as simple as asking a co-worker how they are really feeling or offering your seat on public transport. You may be surprised at how these seemingly small acts can change not only your day, but also someone else's. Empathy is more than a fleeting emotion. It is a Stoic practice that can strengthen our relationships and communities. By integrating it into our daily lives, we not only improve the world around us, but also enrich ourselves internally. I invite you to experience this for yourself and discover the transformative power of understanding and sharing the feelings of others. Remember, with every act of empathy, you grow a little closer to the life you aspire to live. The beauty of simplicity. Imagine standing before a vast ocean where the waves move with rhythmic calm and the fresh air brushes your face. In that moment, there are no emails to answer, no notifications to interrupt you, just you and the immensity of the scene. It's a moment that invites reflection on the beauty of simplicity. This is a principle we often forget in our daily lives, which are full of complications and stress. But have you ever considered the peace you could find if you simplified your life? As I imagine Epictetus would say, existence is the perception of what you need, not what you want, that frees you. This insight led me to apply the wisdom of simplicity to my own life. One day, I decided to clean my studio, sorting through each item with a critical eye. Does this item truly bring me value? Gradually, the cluttered space transformed into an environment of clarity and purpose. The difference was not just visual. Every time I entered the room, my mind felt lighter and more prepared. This clarity extended beyond the physical space and into the digital realm. I uninstalled apps I wasn't using and limited the notifications that constantly interrupted my day. At first, the silence of my phone felt unsettling, but over time, I realized that I had recovered hours of my day, hours I could now devote to reading, writing, or simply enjoying a moment of stillness. This process was not easy, but Stoic philosophy provided support. Detachment is not about giving up things for the sake of giving them up, but rather about understanding what is essential and freeing yourself from what is not. By clearing space in my life, I not only found peace, but I also gained a greater appreciation for the small details and moments I had previously overlooked. Are you ready to embark on this journey of simplicity? Consider the objects you haven't used in months, or the apps that you open and close without purpose. Imagine the relief of shedding this unnecessary weight, and the focus you would gain by letting go of what no longer serves you. Simplicity is not just about reducing material possessions, it's also about simplifying our interactions, our goals, and even our thoughts. Practically speaking, this might mean choosing projects that truly resonate with your values, or deciding to spend more time with people who energize you and less with those who drain you. So, I invite you to reflect on how you can apply simplicity in your own life. It doesn't have to be a monumental change, but small, conscious steps that bring you closer to a life that's less complicated and more in tune with your true desires and needs. Simplicity is not just a lifestyle, it is a path to freedom. The power of persistence. On the path to achieving our dreams, we discover that it is not talent or opportunity that determines our ultimate success, but something deeper and more constant: persistence. You don't have to fear defeat or the obstacles in your way if you remain firm in your purpose. A phrase that reflects the Stoic virtue of courage reminds us that the road to success is paved with the tenacity of our character, not just with our sporadic actions. Let me share a story that illustrates the power of persistence in my own life. A few years ago, I decided to write a book about human resilience, a project that, from the outset, seemed like an immense challenge. During the process, I faced countless obstacles, severe criticism, editorial rejections, and, perhaps most painful of all, internal doubts about my abilities. Yet every day, I clung to my purpose with an almost stoic fervor. Each morning, as I faced the blank page, I reminded myself of Seneca's words, "Things are not difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." This thought spurred me to keep going, to push through each criticism and rejection with the certainty that every small step forward was a victory over discouragement. And you know what? After years of relentless work, my book was not only published, but also helped many people confront their own challenges. This taught me a vital lesson. Persistence can overcome even the most daunting difficulties. Persistence is not merely about moving forward, it's about standing firm in the face of adversity. The moments when everything seems lost are when our stoic courage should shine brightest. Imagine yourself in the midst of a storm, with every external force urging you to step back. But you, with your eyes fixed firmly on your goal, decide to take another step. That step is the one that truly counts. Let's draw inspiration from the stories of those who achieved great things through persistence. People like Thomas Edison, who endured thousands of failures before inventing the electric light bulb, or J.K. Rowling, whose fantasy novel series was rejected by multiple publishers before it saw the light of day. These examples are not just success stories, they are testimonies to the power of never giving up. I invite you to reflect on your own life. Where do you need to apply persistence? What challenge have you been avoiding because it seems too difficult? Remember, true courage is continuing step by step, even when the results are not immediate. With every challenge we face, we have two options: to turn back or to move forward with renewed determination. Choose the latter. By integrating persistence into every aspect of our lives, we bring ourselves closer to excellence, not because it's easy, but because it's possible. And in that possibility lies the true essence of stoic courage. The gratification of self-sufficiency. If you've ever found yourself contemplating the vast sea and felt a kind of indescribable peace, you've probably touched, even if only for an instant, the essence of self-sufficiency. Today, I want to take you through a very personal journey in which we explore not only what it means to be self-sufficient, but how this quality can radically transform our lives. Imagine for a moment that you're on a desert island, and everything you need to survive must come from your own hands and skills. While this scenario may sound extreme, it illustrates the gratification of self-sufficiency perfectly. When we cultivate emotional and material independence, we not only survive, but we begin to live with a freedom that only self-sufficiency can offer. Consider a typical day in your life. How often do you feel that you depend on something or someone to feel complete, happy, or satisfied? Now imagine how your day would change if you could generate those feelings from within without relying on external factors. That's the magic of self-sufficiency. It frees us from the chains of dependency. One strategy for cultivating independence is to start with small steps. For example, try solving everyday problems on your own before seeking help. With each challenge you face, not only will you improve your skills, but you'll also build your confidence and trust in your own abilities. Self-sufficiency also brings greater inner peace. By being less dependent on the whims and actions of others, our internal world becomes less turbulent and more serene. This doesn't mean isolating yourself or rejecting the help and company of others, but rather learning to be okay with yourself in any situation. True peace comes from knowing you can handle whatever life throws at you. Stoic philosophy teaches us about autarky, the state of complete self-sufficiency. The Stoics believed that to achieve happiness, we must free ourselves from desires and aversions that depend on things outside our control. Practicing self-sufficiency is a path toward that liberation. To develop greater self-sufficiency in your life, I suggest you start with practical exercises. Set personal goals that push you beyond your comfort zone. It could be something as simple as learning to cook a new recipe every week, managing your personal finances, or growing a small garden. Every small victory over yourself builds confidence and self-respect. Self-sufficiency is not just a useful skill, it is an art that deeply enriches life. By cultivating it, you not only gain freedom, but you also get closer to the true essence of inner peace. As Epictetus said, the secret of happiness is to love freedom. Self-sufficiency gives us that freedom. Take control of what you can and find the freedom to let go of what you cannot. Transform your life with the power of self-sufficiency. Throughout this journey, we have explored the power of Stoicism, from the serenity of ataraxia to the strength of the will. These powerful strategies can guide us toward personal excellence. I invite you to integrate these teachings into your daily life and experience meaningful change. Remember, the Stoic path is a continuous journey toward self-realization. Dare to live a full and meaningful life. If you've made it this far, write, "I am the top priority" in the comments, so I know who the victorious ones are. I'm eager to hear your thoughts and stories of triumph. Don't forget to subscribe, activate the notification bell, and comment so YouTube knows these videos help people like you. This way, we can continue creating more videos like this in the future. I also recommend the 2 videos that will appear next. See you in the next video. Have you ever wished that someone would miss you deeply and long for you with all their heart? Well, relax, because today we're going to explore how you can make that happen. But I promise you, it won't be through desperate tactics. Instead, we're going to delve into the wisdom of Stoic philosophy combined with solid psychological principles. In this video, I'll share with you 14 foolproof tips that will help make the person you desire miss you and ultimately become obsessed with you. And at the end, I'll reveal the key strategies that can make all this a reality. So don't worry, stay tuned. Each tip might just hold the secret to achieving what you want. I've put together a collection of real, proven psychological studies, and when combined with Stoic philosophy, these will become your greatest tools of attraction. So much so that you will transform into the treasure everyone longs for. Rather than bombarding that special person with constant texts and attention, you'll learn to create an aura of scarcity, becoming that precious gem hidden behind a treasure hunt. Give yourself the importance you deserve, because, my friend, there's nothing more vital in any relationship than valuing oneself. But before we begin, if you find value in these videos, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you stay updated. Are you ready? Let's get started. First, let's talk about the importance of prioritizing personal encounters. We live in an age where our phones have become extensions of our hands. They help us stay connected, organized, and, at times, entertained. However, what happens when this little device starts to interfere with genuine human connections? Today, I want to discuss why prioritizing in-person interactions can make someone miss you and desire you more. Although it may seem like a Stoic philosophy concept, there's actually a great deal of ancient wisdom in this approach. Picture this. You're sitting at a coffee shop with a friend, and they're more focused on their phone than on engaging with you. It's like being invisible, isn't it? Now, flip the scenario. Imagine you're fully present, completely engaged in the conversation, free from distractions. The connection is deeper, more authentic, and when the time comes to part ways, that person will miss you, not because of anything extraordinary you said, but because you were genuine and fully present. The key is using your phone as a tool to organize these meetings, not to replace them. Of course, sending messages and making calls is helpful, but they should never become the core of our relationships. Human interactions are deeply rooted in our senses, smell, touch, and the shared laughter that can only occur in person. These are experiences that can't be replicated through a screen. If you want to make someone miss you and long for your presence, you need to be a bit like a hidden treasure, something valuable, not always available. By prioritizing face-to-face encounters, you're cultivating unique and memorable moments. A simple coffee, a walk together, a hug. These become meaningful experiences that leave a lasting impression. Think of it this way. Relationships are like plants. They need water, light, and, most importantly, time. Text messages are like tiny drops of water, enough to keep the plant alive, but not enough to help it bloom. Personal encounters, on the other hand, are like sunlight. Without them, the plant can never truly flourish. Supporting this idea, studies have shown that face-to-face interactions are crucial for mental health and happiness. For instance, Harvard University conducted a study that found that people who engage in regular personal encounters report higher levels of well-being and fewer feelings of loneliness. This happens because in-person interactions activate brain areas associated with reward and empathy, forging deeper emotional bonds. So the next time you're tempted to send a quick text, ask yourself, could this be done in person? If the answer is yes, go ahead and arrange a meeting, be it for coffee, a walk, or any activity that allows you to be genuinely present. And don't worry about always being available. Constant accessibility can lower your value. After all, what incentive does someone have to seek a deeper connection with you if you're always just a message away? Remember, sometimes absence makes the heart grow fonder. Let them miss your real presence. Don't be the open book left on the coffee table, but the book tucked away on a high shelf, waiting to be rediscovered. In conclusion, prioritize personal encounters. Use your phone to organize these meetings, not to replace them. Be the sunlight in people's lives, not just a drop of water. True connections are made in person, and by doing this, you'll create lasting memories and deeper relationships. Moving on to emotional independence. Have you ever thought about why some people seem to effortlessly attract others? The secret isn't some mysterious force of nature or a supernatural gift. It's emotional independence. This quality not only makes you more appealing, but it also leads to a more fulfilled and satisfying life. Imagine your life as a beautiful garden, full of flowers, fruit trees, and a small pond with fish. You are the gardener of this garden. If you rely on someone else to water your plants, fertilize the soil and remove the weeds, your garden will eventually wither. But if you tend to it with care and attention, it will flourish, drawing others in. Emotional independence isn't about being cold or distant. It's about having a full and exciting life of your own. It's about enjoying your hobbies, pursuing your goals, and being at peace with who you are. This way, when someone enters your life, you're not doing so from a place of need, but from a place of abundance. You're inviting them to a banquet you've already prepared, rather than waiting for the ingredients to show up. One of the foundational teachings of emotional independence comes from Stoic philosophy, which teaches us to focus on what we can control and let go of what lies beyond our reach. For instance, you can't control whether someone misses you or wants you, but you can control how you live your life, how you engage with activities you enjoy, and how you take care of yourself. If you want someone to long for you, the key is not to be constantly available, always texting or making plans. What keeps a viewer hooked in a thrilling movie is the intrigue and anticipation. Similarly, if you're always present, there's no chance for the person to miss you. But if you completely disappear from their view, there's a risk of being forgotten. It's all about striking a delicate balance, like a dance. To achieve this, nurture your own life. Enroll in that painting course you've always wanted to try, go for a morning run, dive into a book that excites you, and make time to enjoy your own company. Not only will this make you more interesting, but it will also give you a confidence and security that are utterly irresistible, like a subtle yet intoxicating fragrance that lingers after you. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that emotionally independent people tend to have healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Those with strong emotional autonomy are perceived as more attractive, and they experience less conflict and greater satisfaction in their relationships. Remember, emotional independence is a journey, not a destination. There will be days when you feel vulnerable or needy, and that's okay. What matters is that you continue tending to your garden day after day with patience and care. Emotional independence is the key to a vibrant, fulfilling life and to attracting others from a place of abundance, not need. You are the gardener of your own life, and the more you flourish, the more others will be drawn to you. Always keep in mind this truth. A fulfilling life is built from within, not from the expectations of others. Lastly, let's touch on patience in love. We're often sold the idea of love at first sight, the excitement, the butterflies in our stomachs. But what happens when those butterflies turn into moths that consume our peace of mind? In this tip, I'm going to discuss something we should all practice more of. Patience in love. Don't rush into love before you truly know the person. Yes, it might sound boring or even a little stoic, but trust me, it makes sense. Imagine you're at the supermarket. You walk directly to the fruit section and spot a shiny apple. Instantly, you feel excited, pick it up and purchase it without much thought. But when you get home and take that first bite, you discover that the inside is rotten. This is a perfect analogy for love. Often we get swept away by appearances and the emotions of the moment, forgetting the most crucial thing, really taking the time to get to know the person. Building a relationship is like constructing a house. It needs a solid foundation. And how do you create that foundation? It's not rocket science. You take the time to talk, to understand their values, dreams, and fears. A truly intimate connection doesn't develop overnight. It's a process, one that takes patience and care. Ask yourself if you share similar values and visions for the future, because these are the elements that will help the relationship withstand the inevitable storms that come. A study by Stanford University, led by psychologist Carol Dweck, highlights the power of a growth mindset in relationships. According to Dweck, people who approach relationships as a continuous process of growth and learning are more likely to experience success. This mindset encourages you to take the time to genuinely get to know the other person rather than rushing and expecting perfection from the start. Now, let's explore how to make someone miss you and want you. At first glance, this might seem manipulative, but in reality, it's about valuing yourself and establishing your own sense of worth. Think of it like morning coffee. It's more enjoyable when you don't drink it every day. In terms of love, this means maintaining your independence, pursuing your passions, and not becoming an extension of the other person. Give yourself and them space. Don't feel compelled to respond immediately to every message or be available around the clock. By doing so, you not only make the other person appreciate you more, but you also create space to reflect on whether this relationship is truly worth your time and emotional investment. It's not about playing mind games, but about striking a healthy balance. Constant availability can feel suffocating and lead you to be taken for granted. Think of yourself as a good book, one that deserves to be read carefully, not just skimmed. Patience in love is a virtue, one that many overlook, but it can make all the difference between a fleeting romance and a lasting bond. Getting to know someone well before falling in love and maintaining a healthy balance between presence and independence are essential elements in building a solid, intimate relationship. So the next time you feel those famous butterflies in your stomach, take a deep breath and remember that good things take time. As I've said before, true love isn't the kind that comes quickly. It's the one that remains when everyone else has gone. Now let's dive into the concept of the connection bubble. Imagine you're with a special person and suddenly the world around you fades away. The noise dies down and all that matters is the connection between the two of you. This is the connection bubble, a space that not only strengthens the relationship but also creates unforgettable moments that both of you will cherish. So how do you make someone miss you and desire your presence? The answer isn't a magic trick. It's a combination of authenticity and some practical approaches. First, be genuine. Stoic philosophy teaches us the importance of living authentically, staying true to our values. In a relationship, this means being yourself, without masks. Authenticity lays the groundwork for any meaningful connection. When you are genuine, you create space for the other person to be themselves too, which fosters a dynamic of trust and comfort. And you know what's more attractive than anything else? Confidence. The connection bubble isn't created overnight. It's like a dance. Imagine you're on the dance floor with your partner, moving to a rhythm that only the two of you can hear. To keep this dance going, you need to be in sync. This means paying attention to details, actively listening, and responding with empathy. When your partner feels heard and understood, the connection deepens. A study by psychologist John Gottman, an expert on relationships, underscores the importance of emotional attunement. Gottman found that couples who practice attunement, being emotionally present, listening actively, and responding empathetically, are far more likely to stay together. When you apply these principles, you create an environment where the other person feels valued and understood. But how do you get someone to miss you? This is where the balance between presence and absence comes into play. If you're always available, your presence may be taken for granted. Instead, by subtly withdrawing from time to time, you give the other person space to think about you and miss you. It's like tending to a plant. It needs water, but too much can drown it. You need to find the right balance for it to bloom. For instance, when you're in that connection bubble, make sure you're creating meaningful memories. It's not just about grand gestures, but also the small details, a spontaneous message, an inside joke, or a shared meaningful glance. These moments become emotional anchors that the other person will remember when you're not around. Stoic philosophy also teaches us to focus on what we can control and accept what we cannot. You can't force someone to miss you, but you can be the best version of yourself and create moments worth remembering. At the end of the day, what attracts people most is the quality of the connection they feel with you. To wrap things up, remember that the connection bubble is a sacred space that only the two of you can create. Be authentic, listen closely, and find the balance between being present and giving space. Doing this not only makes someone miss you and desire you, but it also helps build a relationship based on mutual understanding, love, and respect. In case you're not quite getting it, my friend, love is not about possession. It's about connection and shared freedom. The key is being genuine and creating meaningful moments that, while small, hold great significance. This connection bubble will become a safe refuge where they'll always want to return. Lastly, let's explore the power of silence. Have you ever considered just how powerful silence can be? In a world overflowing with noise and constant chatter, we often overlook the potential of what can be achieved through a simple look or a moment of quiet. Perhaps it's time to realize that you don't always need to speak. Sometimes just being there is enough. Think about this. Silence has an undeniable magic. Picture yourself in the middle of a heated conversation where words are flying like bullets. Instead of continuing to argue, you choose to remain silent, observing. That silence isn't empty, it's full of meaning. The exchanged glances in that moment can speak louder than 1,000 words. Now, let's apply this idea to the art of making someone miss you and want you. It may seem complicated at first, but it's simpler than you think if you incorporate a bit of Stoic philosophy and recognize that sometimes absence is far more powerful than constant presence. You've probably heard the phrase, less is more, and in human relationships, this often holds true. Just like in a recipe where too much salt can ruin the dish, being too present can diminish your value in the other person's eyes. If you're strategically absent, your presence becomes something more precious, something to be savored and longed for. The trick is to create space for the other person to miss you, not by disappearing entirely, but by finding the right balance. Think of it like a musician who knows when to pause during a performance. These silences make the music richer and more exciting. In the same way, absence can build anticipation, creating a spark that makes someone realize how much they truly need you. A psychological study from the University of Virginia found that people tend to value interactions more when there is a time gap between them. Researchers discovered that even brief moments of absence can make people appreciate the relationship more. This phenomenon is known as the scarcity effect, where something becomes more valuable simply because it's not always available. So, how do you achieve this without seeming indifferent? The key lies in subtlety, in the power of looks and gestures. A single, intense glance can linger in someone's memory far longer than an entire conversation. A small gesture of affection, an unexpected detail, can be more effective than being present all the time. Strive to leave behind traces that are not easily seen, like the wind. Though invisible, its presence is felt and missed when there's no silence to reveal its absence. Simple communication is the key to connecting at a deeper level. Stoic philosophy teaches us to appreciate these moments, recognizing that presence is not always physical. Sometimes the most significant impact comes from what remains unspoken. Allow silence to work its magic, and you'll see how people begin to notice your absence and yearn for your presence. The next time you want someone to miss you and long for your company, remember that words aren't always necessary. Being present in silence can be enough. As Epictetus said, true power lies in the silence that speaks louder than any words. Authenticity plays a central role in how we connect with others. Have you ever felt like you're acting in life as though you're playing a part that doesn't fit you? Trying to be someone you're not, adjusting your behavior and words to fit the desires of others can lead to a significant disconnect. Authenticity and honesty are the foundation of any meaningful relationship. Being genuine is not about being flawless, but about being yourself, embracing both your strengths and your flaws. Imagine being an open book, not one with empty pages where anyone can write their own narrative, but a book filled with adventures and even some darker chapters. Authenticity is about showing your book as it is, without embellishment or removing uncomfortable parts. When you allow yourself to be authentic, you let others truly get to know you and form a genuine connection. You are no longer playing a role or following a script. You are simply being yourself. Honesty is the glue that holds your authenticity together. There's no point in showing yourself as authentic if you are not also being honest with your feelings and thoughts. Honesty isn't just about avoiding lies, but about being transparent, saying what you really feel, even if it's uncomfortable. How do you make someone miss you and want your presence? There are no magic tricks or formulas. The key is to be authentic and honest. When you are transparent about who you are and how you feel, you forge a connection that transcends the superficial. Psychology backs this up. A Harvard study revealed that people who are seen as authentic and honest tend to form more valued and satisfying relationships. Think of authenticity as a recipe for a great dish. When you use quality ingredients and follow the process properly, the outcome is delicious. But if you rush or substitute with poor quality ingredients, the result will disappoint. Authenticity and honesty are the quality ingredients in any relationship. Of course, being authentic and honest doesn't mean being rude or insensitive. It's about striking a balance between expressing yourself and respecting the other person. If you wonder whether this works, the answer is yes. People are drawn to those who are genuine and unafraid to express their true selves. Their authenticity becomes a light that attracts others. So, next time you wish someone would miss you, remember, don't waste time pretending to be someone else. Be authentic, be honest, and watch how the magic unfolds. It's not about impressing others. It's about being truthful, and at the end of the day, people value sincerity above all. As Marcus Aurelius said, authenticity reflects the true beauty of a person. Avoiding seduction techniques is crucial to creating genuine connections. You've probably heard countless times about infallible techniques to win someone over. They promise that if you do this or that, the other person will be at your feet. But that's all a myth. Seduction techniques are like cheap paint on a wall. They might look attractive for a while, but over time, they fade and reveal the truth. If you want someone to miss you and desire your presence, start by being authentic. Stop pretending to be a character in a soap opera. Following pre-established seduction techniques is like wearing a Halloween costume. You might fool some people for a while, but eventually the facade will crack. Picture yourself on a first date, using rehearsed lines and behaving in a way that doesn't even feel like you. It may work temporarily, but who wants to be with someone who isn't genuine? Stoic philosophy teaches us to live according to our true nature and be authentic with ourselves. If you pretend to be someone you are not, the facade will inevitably fall. There is nothing more attractive than someone who is genuine and unfiltered. So, how do you make someone miss you and want your presence without resorting to cheap tricks? The answer is simple. Be yourself. Authenticity always wins. When you show up as you are, you create a real, lasting connection. It's not about saying the right things or making the right moves. It's about being vulnerable and real. A study by psychologist William Swan, known as the self-verifying theory, found that people are drawn to others who show their true identity and are recognized and appreciated for it. Being authentic isn't just more satisfying, it's also more effective in forming meaningful, lasting connections. To connect with someone in a true way, leave behind the masks and techniques. Share your thoughts and feelings honestly, and don't be afraid to show your vulnerabilities. They are what make you human, and therefore attractive. Ask genuine questions, listen attentively, and create a space where both of you can share and grow. This kind of connection will make the other person think of you when you're not around. Remember, the key to being missed and desired isn't in artificial seduction techniques, but in authenticity. Let go of the tricks and masks and show up just as you are. Only then will you create a relationship that is truly meaningful and worth having. As Seneca wisely said, there is no greater seduction than the naked truth of who you truly are. True communication of freedom is a liberating experience. There's nothing more magical than feeling free to be yourself, and that feeling can be fostered in a relationship where you are encouraged to be authentic. Stoic philosophy teaches us that internal freedom is one of the greatest gifts we can both offer and receive. But how do we communicate this freedom to another person? First, make it clear that you are free with them. There's nothing more attractive than the feeling of being accepted for who you truly are. Think of it like taking off your shoes after a long day. It's an immediate feeling of release. Similarly, offer that same freedom to the other person. Allow them to shed their masks and be their true selves. It may sound idealistic, but freedom is about living in the present moment, without judgment of the past or worrying about the future. Psychology supports this idea as well. A study by the University of Rochester found that relationships where individuals feel free and autonomous are much more satisfying. According to the researchers, when people feel they can be themselves and their choices are respected, they experience greater well-being and a deeper connection with their partners. If you're wondering how to make someone miss you and want your presence, the answer lies in offering freedom. Don't obsess over every message or measure the value of your relationship by the frequency of communication. Instead, create a safe space where the other person can truly be themselves. Imagine being an oasis in the middle of a desert, a place where someone can recharge and find peace. That, my friend, is irresistible. And don't worry about past baggage. Let it stay where it belongs, in the past. Focus on what you can share now, creating genuine moments that will be remembered. When you focus on the present, you create meaningful experiences that stay with the other person. Freedom is fundamentally tied to trust. Trust in yourself and in what you have to offer. You don't have to be perfect to be authentic. Authenticity is like a refreshing breeze on a hot day. It's welcome and soothing. When you show up as your true self, without apologies, you create a space where others feel safe to do the same. In this space of authenticity and mutual acceptance, something genuine and deep can grow. There are no magical techniques or step-by-step guides for this, but think of how you can embody the freedom you seek. If you want someone to miss you, Don't burden them with constant reminders of your presence. Instead, become like a pleasant memory, like a catchy song that lingers in their mind. Be the person who offers space to breathe and is always willing to listen. Communication rooted in freedom doesn't involve games or manipulative strategies. It's about creating an environment where both individuals can truly be themselves, enjoying the present without being weighed down by the past. The true essence of connection lies in trusting the authenticity of what you share with one another. Freedom, at its core, is the greatest attraction you can offer. Remember this: there is no greater freedom than to be fully yourself in the company of another. This freedom is the key to establishing a genuine and lasting connection. When it comes to desire, the idea is not about forcing it, but allowing it to naturally grow. Think of the plant you water and care for. If you keep giving it constant attention without letting it breathe, it may eventually wilt. Desire in relationships works the same way. Sometimes less is more. Giving someone the space to miss you is essential. It's not about disappearing entirely, but rather about offering them a break so they can feel your absence and long for your presence. Imagine you're the star of an amazing movie. If people watch it repeatedly without pause, the excitement will eventually fade. The same happens in relationships. Constant contact can dull the mystery and excitement that keep things fresh. The key is balance. Let the relationship breathe. Don't always be available. If your presence is always at their fingertips, they may take it for granted. Think of yourself as a fascinating book, something to savor in small doses, not something to devour in one sitting. Stoic philosophy encourages us to seek moderation in all things, and this principle is valuable in relationships as well. It's not about playing games, but rather about maintaining a sense of mystery and individuality. Research by psychologist Sandra Murray at the University of Buffalo supports this idea, showing that couples who maintain a sense of independence within their relationship report higher satisfaction and desire. A little distance, she finds, gives people space to reflect on their partner and appreciate their presence more. It's also crucial to cultivate your own interests and passions. This not only makes you more attractive, but gives you something to talk about when you meet. When you're not together, the other person will not only miss you, but will also miss hearing about the interesting things you do. Maintaining independence is essential. No one wants to be with someone who depends entirely on the relationship for their happiness. You must continue growing as a person, pursuing your own goals and ambitions. This principle is deeply embedded in Stoic teachings about self-sufficiency and self-discipline. Physical space is equally important. If you live together or spend a lot of time in the same space, get out of the house, take a walk by yourself, read in a cafe, or pursue an activity on your own. When you return, your time apart will feel like a breath of fresh air. Communication remains key. It's not about vanishing without a word, but about establishing healthy boundaries. Speak openly about the importance of personal space and how it benefits both partners. Honesty and transparency build trust and mutual respect. Creating space is not about playing tricks or disappearing entirely. It's about allowing room for desire to grow. By being independent, maintaining your own interests, and communicating openly, you can encourage both yourself and the other person to miss and appreciate each other more. Desire thrives on the freedom to grow and breathe, and in relationships, that means balancing time spent together with space for individuality. Now, let's talk about attachment. It's common to yearn for meaningful connections, as if every interaction might be the last drop of water in an endless desert. However, Stoic philosophy teaches us the importance of not clinging to any one connection. It may sound counterintuitive, especially in a world where connections are just a touch away, but the secret is not to obsess over them. Think of yourself like the sun, bright and unique. Not every planet will revolve around you, but there will always be one that does. You don't need to force connections. Let them happen naturally. Trust that if a connection doesn't materialize, it's because something better is waiting for you. This mentality brings freedom and makes you more attractive. When you let go of desperation, you shine with self-confidence, which acts as a powerful magnet. Imagine you're a gardener. If you water a plant out of desperation, it won't thrive. Instead, tend to your own garden. Focus on your hobbies, friendships, and personal growth. Allow yourself to bloom and become a more fascinating person. Absence, as the saying goes, makes the heart grow fonder. When you're not always available, the other person will begin to appreciate you more. They'll long for your company because it isn't always there. Research from Stanford University shows that security in oneself is one of the most attractive qualities a person can possess. People who exude self-confidence and don't depend on others for validation tend to attract more interest. This type of emotional independence and self-affirmation is essential for creating stronger, more lasting connections. This doesn't mean playing mind games or disappearing without a word. It's about balancing time and energy, giving enough to show you care, but holding back a little to maintain your own sense of self. It's a delicate balance between being present and giving space. Remember, the Stoics believed in accepting things as they are, not fighting against what's inevitable. Rather than clinging to what could be, appreciate what you have in the moment and trust that what is meant for you will arrive at the right time. Lastly, leaving toxic relationships is crucial for your well-being. Imagine life as a journey with a backpack that you carry with you. At first, you might not notice the weight, but over time, the burden becomes overwhelming. You must decide what to carry with you and what to leave behind in order to move forward with more lightness and happiness. The same applies to toxic relationships. No matter how much you try, some relationships will never improve. If you find yourself in a relationship that makes you feel heavier, sadder, or unappreciated, it's time to reevaluate and perhaps let go. Recognizing a toxic relationship is not always easy. You might question whether you're overreacting. This is when the perspective of close friends can be invaluable. They can offer a clearer view of the situation. If multiple trusted people agree that a relationship is harming you, it's worth taking their advice seriously. Relationships should be places of mutual respect, appreciation, and positive energy. If your efforts are consistently unacknowledged, or if your feelings are disregarded, it's time to step back. Remember, surrounding yourself with people who appreciate you is essential for your emotional health. A study conducted by the University of California in Los Angeles revealed that having healthy, supportive relationships can greatly enhance happiness and reduce stress levels. Now, when it comes to making someone miss you and want you, the answer doesn't lie in manipulating or forcing situations. The real key is authenticity and valuing yourself. When you make the decision to let go of a toxic relationship, it sends a clear and strong message that you have enough self-respect not to settle for less than you deserve. This can serve as a reality check for the other person. Sometimes the best tools for making someone realize they miss you are distance and time. To make someone miss you, first, you must learn to enjoy your own company. Dedicate time to your hobbies, explore new activities, and surround yourself with positive people. Work on your personal growth. Stoic philosophy teaches us to find peace within ourselves and not to rely on external circumstances for our happiness. By focusing on your own development, you naturally become a more attractive person, not just to others, but to yourself as well. Letting go of toxic relationships is also an act of self-love. Though it is challenging, it is essential for your emotional well-being and growth. Learn to value yourself, seek support from your friends, and make sure to surround yourself with people who truly appreciate you. By letting go of what no longer serves you, you make space for what you truly deserve. Next, let's talk about the power of positivity. Have you ever wondered how to make someone miss you? No, we're not talking about becoming a love magician, but rather becoming a person so positively magnetic that others simply want to be around you. You should aim to be like that morning cup of coffee that everyone needs to start the day with a smile. That is the kind of energy you should evoke in the people around you. But how can you achieve this without seeming forced or unnatural? The answer lies in adopting a Stoic philosophy, combined with a sense of humor and a great deal of positivity. This approach not only works, but it is also highly effective. Being a positive person doesn't mean you ignore problems or live in a fantasy world. Instead, it means facing life with resilience and optimism. When you can see the glass as half full and inspire others to do the same, people will be naturally drawn to you. Positivity, like sunlight, is something everyone gravitates toward, although they might not want it constantly. The key is balance. If you manage to keep a cheerful and calm demeanor even in difficult times, people will be attracted to you because you radiate peace and well-being. This is one of the fundamental teachings of Stoic philosophy, maintaining inner peace regardless of external circumstances. A study conducted by the University of California in 2008 showed that people with a positive attitude and those who practice optimism are more likely to form stronger and more satisfying interpersonal relationships. This research underscores how positivity not only improves our personal well-being, but also strengthens our bonds with others. Now, let's move on to the role of humor. Having a sense of humor doesn't mean being the clown of the group, but rather it means being able to laugh at yourself and at the little, unimportant things. Humor is a powerful tool for breaking the ice and forming genuine connections. For example, when faced with a setback, instead of complaining, find the humor in the situation. Laughter is contagious and can lighten the mood, making people associate your presence with positive experiences. A useful technique here is to adopt what we might call strategic lightness. Imagine yourself as someone who rises above daily problems with a calm and positive outlook. This approach will not only help you maintain a good mood, but will also attract others who desire that same lightness in their own lives. To be someone who others miss and desire, you must combine positivity with humor. This combination will make you more attractive and help you create deeper, lasting relationships. From a Stoic perspective, staying calm and joyful in the face of challenges will make people seek your company. Remember, positivity and humor aren't about denying reality. They are about choosing how you wish to face it. Be the ray of sunshine in others' lives, and you'll soon find that they want more of your light. Now, let's turn to an important piece of advice. Don't be in a hurry to fall in love. How often have you found yourself staring at the ceiling, wondering when the person who will change your life will appear? Popular culture bombards us with the idea that we need someone else to be happy. But what if I told you that love comes when you least expect it? In the meantime, you have something much more important to focus on: yourself. Stoic philosophy teaches us a key lesson. Tranquility and self-control are essential for a fulfilling life. You don't need someone else to complete you. You are already a complete person, just as you are. Instead of searching for someone to fill a void, focus on yourself. Working on your personal growth may seem like a never-ending task, but it is this dedication that will make you shine brighter. Think of your life as a garden. If you spend all your time waiting for someone else to plant flowers for you, you will miss out on the beauty of growing your own. By investing time in your passions, friendships, and skills, you'll build a richer, more fulfilling life. The more you enrich your own life, the more you'll have to offer when the right person comes along. Waiting for love can feel frustrating, especially in a world where instant gratification is the norm. But love doesn't follow the rules of fast delivery. It can't be ordered like a package from Amazon. And that's okay. The waiting period has its own magic. It's in that pause where you truly get to know yourself and figure out what you want in a partner. A study by psychologist Susan Sprecher from Cleveland State University shows that people who take time to work on their personal growth before entering a relationship tend to experience more satisfying and lasting relationships. These individuals, who aren't in a rush to find love, are clearer about what they seek in a partner and develop stronger self-esteem. Life isn't a race, and love isn't either. You can spend hours searching for a shooting star and see nothing, but when it finally appears, you'll realize it was worth the wait. When love comes into your life, it will be a result of all the time you spent nurturing yourself. When two people who have cultivated their personal gardens meet, the beauty is indescribable. Remember, love isn't about completing someone or being completed. It's about sharing your fullness. So don't rush. True love isn't something you chase. It finds you when you're ready. Finally, let's talk about the value of friendship and mutual support. Have you ever thought about how to make someone miss you? There's no magic trick, but there is something often overlooked: the importance of friendship and mutual support. In a world where relationships seem fleeting, a strong foundation of friendship can be the key to building lasting, meaningful connections. Often we focus too much on passion, chemistry, and the fireworks that occur at the start of a relationship. But what happens when that initial spark fades? This is where friendship becomes essential. A deep, authentic friendship doesn't just keep the flame alive. It provides the support necessary for any relationship to thrive. Imagine your relationship as a house of cards. The passion and attraction are like the delicate cards placed on top, fragile and vulnerable to the smallest disruption. On the other hand, friendship and mutual support form the solid foundation of the structure, much like the sturdy base of a house of cards. Without this strong base, the entire structure would collapse at the slightest gust of wind. From the very beginning, I promised to provide you with a series of infallible recommendations. Pay close attention to them, and feel free to revisit this video as many times as you deem necessary. Now let's talk about how to build a solid friendship that will make someone miss you and desire your presence even more. Here are a few simple yet effective steps you can follow. First, become a good listener. While we all enjoy talking, listening is an art in itself. Show genuine interest in what the other person has to say and pay close attention to their words. It's in the little details that we demonstrate our care for others, and this helps to create a deeper and stronger bond. Second, share your interests and passions. Stoic philosophy teaches us that true contentment comes from within and not from depending on others for our happiness. Share the hobbies, books, and movies that inspire you. Doing so helps create common ground and fosters a sense of connection and understanding. Third, provide support in difficult times. Life isn't always smooth sailing, and when someone faces hardships, being there for them in their darkest moments creates a unique bond. It is during these challenging times that the strength of your relationship will truly be tested. Fourth, be authentic. Never try to be someone you're not. Authenticity is not only attractive, but it also builds a foundation of trust. By being true to yourself, you open the door to finding someone who values and loves you for who you really are. This idea is not just based on common sense. Research supports the importance of authenticity and friendship in relationships. Studies conducted by John Gottman, a renowned psychologist and relationship expert, reveal that couples who prioritize and value friendship in their relationships experience greater happiness and have marriages that last longer. In fact, Gottman found that 70% of marital satisfaction can be attributed to the quality of the friendship between partners. This reinforces the notion that a solid foundation of friendship not only strengthens the relationship, but also increases the chances that both partners will miss each other and desire each other more. A relationship grounded in friendship and mutual support is like a fine wine. It only gets better with time. Passion and chemistry may ignite at the beginning of a relationship, but it is the strength of the friendship that will keep it enduring and strong. So, if you want someone to miss you and want you, focus on building a deep and meaningful friendship and be a constant source of support for them. Life can be complicated and chaotic, but with a solid foundation of friendship, any relationship can withstand the storms. Remember, it's not about being the most attractive or charming person in the room, but about being the friend and companion that everyone would want to have. True friendship and mutual support are not obligations. They arise from the genuine pleasure of being there for one another. Next time you wonder how to make someone miss you, remember that the key may lie in the strength of the friendship and mutual support you offer. So, take the time to build your house of cards with a solid foundation, and you'll enjoy a lasting and fulfilling relationship. If you found this lesson valuable, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments. Love comes when you're ready, so please don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and leave a comment to let YouTube know that these videos are helping you. I also encourage you to check out the 2 most recent videos recommended for you. I truly appreciate your time and support. See you next time.